Hello there, guys, and welcome back to Depressed FC. Welcome back to my channel for our live reaction and player ratings live stream following Wolverhampton Wanderers 1, Chelsea 0. Even Frank Lampard can't get these up for anything. But also it didn't help that Frank Lampard, I honestly think, got about everything wrong that he could have got wrong today. I mean, we'll talk about it. Maybe someone can convince me otherwise, but as of right now, I'm like, is there anything that he could have done worse? I'm not 100% sure. Even the fans weren't on board. Do you know what I mean? After the first 10 minutes, they couldn't even hear their away fans anymore. And that tells you enough. I mean, I would say top 3 worst performances of the season. But even with that, I'm like, Southampton first half was real bad, but the second half was okay. Brighton first half was bad, but second half was like, not good, but okay. Today was just awful for a whole 90 minutes. We never did anything. We had one shot on target. I don't even know who took that shot. I have no idea. Was it that Aubameyang one that got blocked? But it got blocked, so then it usually doesn't count as a shot on target. So I have no idea. But, oh my days, it was just... everything about this was wrong. Everything about this was wrong. We are joined by... Jake, can you tell me, have you been on the channel before, or did we actually never manage to make it happen before?
You know what? I'm not sure. We've definitely worked together, but I think this might be my debut.
It might be. It might be, mate. I'm sure you were, almost all of us. Was it Felix shot that was on target? Okay. Well, I can't remember that either, but fair enough, Kunta. I'm sure you were one of those that were pretty happy with Frank, coming in once we accepted that we needed someone on an interim basis, I guess, even if I still would have much rather had a permanent manager immediately. But as much as we love Frank, we can't just sit here and now not criticize a few of the things that happened today, because I just have so little understanding for anything that happened in here. Unfortunately, Chase camera quality isn't looking great. Might be to do with the internet connection, but hey, some things you can't control in life. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, why did he go for a back 4? Some people saw it coming, fair enough. But I'm like, we've got Madrid in 3 days. Why would you play a back 4 today? Are you playing a back 4 in Madrid? If so, I'm not even sure if I want to watch the game, let alone, I mean, thank God I'm not going. Do you know what I mean? I'm terrified. And then you play Cucurella at left back, but you play Felix at left wing, which means we just didn't have a left side because Cucurella doesn't push up and Felix doesn't stay wide. So I just don't understand anything that happened today, if I'm being perfectly honest with you, bro. What is your assessment? And does it matter? I mean, we said the season's over, it's just vibes, but today was so bad, there's not even any vibes.
Yeah, today was rough, man. I think today was one of the first games that I got really excited for, other than Dortmund. I think, because just of how the season's gone, and so it feels a little bit worse after that performance. Yeah, I think things just started going wrong so quickly, and I feel like the players don't actually have the ability on the pitch to fix the kind of the chaos, and then from there the snowball effect just kept going and going and going, and the thing is as well, Wolves, although the goal was obviously fantastic, they didn't offer much other than that. Realistically, I don't think Kepa was tested other than that effort. So realistically, that game could have been so much better, and we didn't need to lose our heads like that. But I think these players' mentality at the minute is on the floor, and even Frank Lampard, like you said in the intro, can't seem to get them up for a game like this. And obviously, Real Madrid might be a little bit different because we know these players can somehow turn up in Europe. But even then, that looks a bit worrying now with this performance. Just hoping for a win here to give us a bit of confidence. I think Lampard's choices were a bit everyone sort of lined up and was like, hold on, what? Is this a joke? Is Cucurella in a back 4 really happening? And I think it definitely was influenced by the Real Madrid game, especially with players like Cucurella playing. And I guess we'll have to wait and see until Real Madrid if it works or not. Do you know what I mean? If that does help or not, because at the end of the day, the league does feel a little bit useless at the minute. And if this game was sacrificed for Real Madrid and we get a win there, maybe I'm okay with that. But at the moment, it feels really bleak.
Yeah, no, it does. But even that, even if you say it was we rested a few players for Madrid, Reece James played 90 minutes. The guy pulled out of the England squad for injury and has played 90 minutes in every game since then. Are we mental? Do you know what I mean? Well, Bruno has lost the complete plot on Tuesday, letting Kante play 70 minutes. Now he can't even be in the squad today. What are we doing? Honestly, and because why did Reece have to play? Just play a back three, play Ruben at right wing back, problem solved. But because we played a back four and Aspie isn't fit, you can't even bring anyone on for Reece. So you couldn't even rest him later on in the game. Like it was a complete shit show from top to bottom. Obviously, you're right, Jay, and you're saying like, we don't know. The future is never certain. So I guess things could go very differently to what we're all expecting right now on Wednesday. But, my God, Pice, let me get to you. Thank you for being back on. You weren't on the preview yesterday. The only decision that Frank made where I'm like, there were so many decisions where I was quite sure what he would do, and he did the complete opposite. And then where I wasn't sure what he would do in terms of the goalkeeper, he just stuck with what we had anyway. So I'm like, what? I was just so baffled by everything that happened today, Pipe. Please tell me what you think. Please, like what? Please tell me.
Just dreadful, to be honest. I don't really have many thoughts. It went the way, unfortunately, that many of us thought it would go. There wouldn't be much improvement. I don't think the back four helped us at all. It was a typical Lampard in charge management game, to be honest. I mean, just the lack of structure we had and the constant transitions against us and midfield, and just the whole team was so disjointed. You see the average positions. It was everything that we had towards the end of Lampard's spell. It was just everything just came rushing back, and that played out on the pitch. It was dreadful. There was, I don't quite agree. Some people were saying the players weren't up for it. I think they were up for it. I just think the players didn't really know what to do, and a lot of them were really bad. We again were making the wrong decisions. Again, we were losing the ball too much. The attackers were losing the ball too much. Fucking hell, man. The defense were just, they didn't know whether to pass it down the sides, whether to pass it back, whether to pass it forwards, because the midfield had no structure.
What we did half the game,
or just punt it. Reece was crossing to no one. The one cross we did have, it came to Aubameyang and it got blocked. So, what do you want me to say? Like, it's just ridiculous at this point. We're going to get absolutely fucking smashed in the Bernabeu. I cannot wait for that. We're going to get absolutely ruined if we play like we did like that today. My good Lord. Like, our only hope is he goes literally, I don't even know, like, if a one up top in like 7 in the field is possible, just do that. Just literally, I don't care. Bro, I don't know, man. Like, if we had a 2-on-1, like running from the halfway line, we were through on goal, we still wouldn't score it. I give up a long time ago. Now I'm just, I've never felt like this as a Chelsea fan. Like, 15, 16, like, at least you can look at our squad and go, oh, we've got Pato, we've got fucking, we've got Gilabodji, we've got,
Lloyd Remy.
But even like Remy now, like, you used to put the ball in the back of the net. Like, you see our squad, we've got all these talented players and we're just fucking awful. It's just, oh my God. I don't know.
The most interesting thing would have been how the very same game, same lineup, same tactics, but Kante instead of Gallagher. How much that would change the game. That would be such an interesting thing to see. But unfortunately, we won't. And because that man, good old N'Golo, is the only hope we have for Wednesday. The lineup does matter. Please don't play a back four, Frank. Please, for the love of God. Vinicius will destroy us. Do not play a back four, man. Please. But I mean, Kante is the only one that gives us a hint of a chance. And even then, we probably don't even have a hint of a chance. Clutch, let me get to you. Thank you for being back on. I know you won't be able to stay on the full thing. So share your thoughts. I mean, I know you weren't fully against the Lampard thing once you accepted that an interim was necessary. You're like, all right, might as well. Might be a bit of fun. Well, it most certainly wasn't fun today, was it?
No. I mean, I even said this was never going to go the way people thought it was going to go. I mean, I just figured it would be more balls out. It just wasn't that.
To be fair, it was balls out. That it just really didn't work. The whole formation is very ballsy, considering what we've played all season. In terms of, we've not played a 4-3-3 all year. All of a sudden, he turns up with a 4-3-3. I'm like, what?
Yeah, I think there was a lot of problems. Whether it be Sterling only having 10 minutes and then coming into a start, who clearly wasn't up for it. I'm sorry, Pius. I don't agree. They were not up for it. Tactics weren't there. The players weren't up for it. There was no motivation. There was no leadership. None of that. Nothing was going any sort of way for Chelsea. And to be fair, I mean, I guess they only scored one goal and it was a wonder goal. But at the end of the day, you can't you can't only solely base it off of that. We didn't create chances. We didn't do anything. The midfield was pretty fucking terrible for the most part. Gallagher, why that man gets to play or start these games, I don't understand. Like, I get him killing off games because if tired legs come into it, he can be hell to face against because of that. But to start a game, it just made no sense. The lineup made no sense. I knew Frank was going to go with the back four because that's what Frank knows. Frank does what Frank knows. That's it. I mean, that's why Frank is where he's at within his managerial career. But again, there's a lot of things I think that were happening. I didn't like Felix on the wing, mostly because he doesn't track back. He never has. And it's a problem. That's why you need wingers who are going to track back. I mean, Mudryk tracked back at one point, had a good tackle. Pulisic tracked back. Not once. Sometimes Sterling did too, but offensively it was terrible. So I think there was a lot more reasons. I don't foresee us going to a back three because it's not worked under Lampard. But again, there's a lot of things I think.
No, absolutely. I mean, I'm kind of in the middle of what both of you have said in terms of the commitment. I mean, we can ask Jay about it in a second. Because I think to start with, I agree with Pice that we were up for it. Like, the first 5 minutes, we're like, okay, we're doing something. There's like, runs everywhere. We're bringing a lot of players forward and everything. We had that Reece cross that obviously Diego, intercepted isn't the right word, but deflected and then took it away from any Chelsea player. Because on that occasion, we actually had a couple of people in the middle. There was Sterling and, I think it was Sterling at the far post. Maybe it was someone else. But there was two players waiting for the cross, essentially. But Diego took it out of that. So, but I feel like the longer the game went on, after we hit 15, 20 minutes, after Wolves took a little bit of control of the game, once we lost control, once I felt like the team felt we weren't really doing anything, that's when heads dropped. And that's when I agree with Clutch that the commitment wasn't there. Aside from a few individuals like Gallagher, but for Gallagher, that commitment meant committing fouls most of the time, which, it's commitment, but that's not beneficial commitment if you're just fouling the other player all the time then. Because the amount of times he tried to get his body between the ball and the opponent today and just clatter the opponent every time is mind-boggling how he's even managed to achieve that often. I mean, there's many questions. Could we have had a penalty for that handball? Certainly could have, I think. Why does Joao Felix get sent off for studs into the shin while trying to pull out? But can't remember which. I think Gomes. Can't remember which Fulham Wolves player it was. But studs straight to the knee of Joao Felix. Of course, that's not a red. What are these rules? Where's the consistency? But we cannot blame the ref today by any means. We were just dreadful. And we can say Wolves didn't create much, but they didn't have to create anything. They took the lead relatively early. When did they take it? Half an hour in. After that, they knew for damn sure that we wouldn't score. And they were like, okay, if they do score at some point, we can still commit a bit more offensively. They didn't have to otherwise. If it remained 0-0 for longer, I'm sure they would have had more chances because then they would have wanted to score, right? Jay, what's your perspective in terms of the commitment? In terms of that, Clutch says there wasn't really commitment from the players. Pice says he thinks there was. It was just they didn't know what to do. Where do you stand on that one?
I think we started with a bit of commitment. I think we were definitely relatively up for it from the get-go. But when when a few passes go wrong and a few movements go wrong and then the goal goes in, the heads kind of get lost and then they look all of a sudden out of ideas. And then that's where the commitment issues come into play, in my opinion. And also, I think the substitutes kind of had the opposite effect. I feel like the substitutes came on or even though I was begging for some of them to be made, I feel like when they came on, like Pulisic and Mudryk, they didn't bring enough kind of to the game to be considered to bring that kind of commitment to the game, which is the opposite effect they're going to have. So I feel like once those come in about 70 minutes in, I feel like all kind of belief left at that point. I feel like I didn't feel like we was going to win the game after that because of the way they kind of the body language of it all. So I definitely think we started with it, but I'm not sure about I think the second it went wrong, as is with always with Chelsea, I feel like it kind of the desire to get back doesn't seem to be there.
No, exactly that, and it's just so frustrating. It's so disheartening as well. Whether it's us just trying to make ourselves feel better as fans or whatever way you want to look at it, but when this was happening on a Potter, at some point, after it happened for a while, we were like, well, players, Potter, then we all go back to, he's losing the dressing room, this and that, whatever kind of excuse we can think of. And then when you see them turn up under Bruno against Liverpool, you're like, well, was it Liverpool? Because we turned up against Dortmund under Potter, but not really for many other games. And then under Frank Lampard, they don't turn up. I'm not going to sit here and say I was right with my doubts yet, because obviously I had a few doubts where I'm like, well, 13 players that were here under Frank last time are still here. They didn't turn up for him by the end then. So why would they turn up for him now? Now, I'm not just going to take one game and make a complete judgment of that. But I don't know, man. I mean, let's talk about the lineup. I'll start with you, Clutch. I know we touched on it earlier already, but what were the main baffling decisions in this for you? Was it, I mean, you can name all of them, obviously, but is it the back four? Is it Gallagher starting? Is it Sterling starting? Is it, well, in the end, James playing 90 minutes? Is it Cucurella starting at left back? The Cucurella thing is the only one I can kind of, as much as he was awful, I can understand. All right, Frank doesn't really have many more options if you want to rest Chilwell. Even if you want to play a back three, you can't play Cucurella left wing back either. So the Cucurella one was an issue. He can only play left centre back, in my opinion, at the moment. But then you still don't have a left wing back. So if you want to rest Chile, playing a back three and playing Cucurella left centre back, that doesn't help you rest Chile, does it? So that's the only one I maybe a little bit understand. But everything else is just baffling. But what about you, Clutch? Like, what were the worst ones for you?
The worst one is Gallagher by far. Like, I mean, I guess I understand it. He's the Mount type player. He's the engine. You know, managers love that type of player. Like, every time they're going to use him if they can. It's why we see Mount getting all the games that he does, because of those kind of reasonings. But Sterling only playing 10 minutes and then getting a start was really baffling to me in some regard. I did think he was going to start, to be honest, but I was kind of hoping I was wrong about that. But other than that, like, Cucurella makes sense. I mean, you got to rest Chile at some point. He's been what? Has he been subbed out at all this year? Maybe once, twice in the last like 4 games or something like that. Like, he's played almost every minute. And I think like Felix on the wing, like, I kind of expected it to happen, but again, I don't think Felix is a winger. I really don't. And Gallagher's probably the main one though. Like, I don't understand Gallagher playing in I get why, but again, he's better when you want to kill a game off and not from the beginning, because he didn't offer anything, and that's hindsight, I guess. But that's about it. Other than that, like, I was fine with the lineup.
Yeah, fair enough. Pice, lineup, and then we'll talk about what we did in this lineup after that, and then get into individual ratings. But is it Gallagher for you, the standout, like, baffling decision, or what is the standout for you?
Gallagher for sure. Enzo's a lone 6. I mean, it's whatever. I think he did all right today, but yeah, I mean, Sterling playing after 10 minutes, a bit of a surprise. We all know Havertz pisses me off, but I thought he was going to start. I mean, you could say Cucurella, but at the end of the day, I think Chilwell resting for Madrid makes sense. But
like your friendly overlord says, we could have played 3-4-3 and Lewis Hall at left wing.
Yeah,
would have been worse than Cucurella, that's for sure.
Just no structure at all. I mean, at least in the 3-4-3, we have some sort of, way of playing. This was just like, it's just like you're here for 2 days. Like, they've been playing back 3, although we've not got results. They've been playing back 3 for like the last 10 games. And then you just go, okay, we're going to do it my way this time. We're going to play 4-3-3 after 2 fucking training sessions. One which looked like they were just chucking mini footballs about and jumping on each other. It's like, I don't see the logic. What's the point? Like, how much information could you have got into them in 2 days? Let alone you not even being a top manager anyway. So, like, that just confused me. Felix on the wing, I mean, he had a couple of moments, but he shouldn't be playing there. He's not an out-and-out winger. We could hardly get him on the ball and affect the game, in the first 30 minutes. So it was just confusing me. The structure, the formation, the lineup. Yeah, just weird, man. I don't know. I mean, I do know. Clutch just said it perfectly. Gallagher is, the mount of the team. He's the pressing guy. Managers like hard workers, but he is just shit at football, and we just have to admit that he is shit at football. He was awful. I can't. I'd love to see his
Then he
possession.
probably still had the best touch of any player today. You know,
I'd love to see his
counter-attack when he
possession lost
played it
that
through
today. It
for
must be over
himself
20.
before
My
Sterling
goodness.
ruined it. That was the only good attacking touch any player had today, which is the next depressing thing.
I think Reece had a better touch,
But not attacking wise, right?
Oh yeah, fair enough.
But
It genuinely makes me. It just pisses me off so much that he plays in a 4-3-3 over Chukwuemeka. Honestly,
where is Chukwuemeka? Was he on the bench? I have no idea.
No, he got left out of the
Nope.
squad. It's
Brilliant.
absolutely ridiculous. I rate that kid so highly, by the way. How the way Gallagher plays over him is just disgusting. It's just mind baffling. It baffles me.
Yeah, it's questionable. Certainly questionable. Jay, obviously a lot of things have been mentioned in terms of mainly Gallagher, but also Sterling after having so little game time beforehand. Actually, I was wrong when we were talking about yesterday. I said he came on after 80. It was 85. So Charlie was right in terms of maybe with extra time, it was 10 minutes. He didn't even play 10 minutes after injury. And then you decide to start him in the next game. Like, it's the next, like, why? Like, what? Why would a player that's been injured for a good while play 5 minutes? Why would he be sharp to play a game? Like, who came up with that idea?
He didn't even look good when he came on for the 10 minutes.
No, exactly.
He didn't, to be fair, and he looked tragic today. He was definitely just nowhere near the pace. He was definitely slow, and his touch wasn't there. Yeah, that was definitely a poor decision. His attitude as well was really annoying me today. Like, I get it, the fact that you might not be ready and you've been thrown into it, but every footballer that is playing should come with a better attitude. And today, everything that went wrong, you can see him kind of like throwing his arms around or not fully kind of like committing to things. That was annoying, but you can't blame him too much because you're right, he wasn't ready to start at all, was he? As for the formation, I wasn't, when I first saw it, I wasn't too annoyed because, again, at the end of the day today, Wolves didn't threaten our defense that much. So realistically, the defense didn't do that bad of a job. I think Cucurella, for me, was probably the worst decision Lampard made. I think, although saving Chilwell for Real Madrid, you kind of put that aside. You got to win the next game. That's every football manager that will say that. And he was definitely our weak link. But other than that, I feel like the back four weren't too bad. Reece James isn't the same Reece James we know and love, but he was still solid. Fofana looked really good. I thought Koulibaly's still a little bit shaky, but I don't think that was the biggest problem. I think the lads are right in the fact that Gallagher was probably one of our bigger problems in the midfield, just because he looked so lost today. He looked so lost. He looked like he didn't know what to do when he had the ball past the halfway line. He didn't look too bad before that, but the second he got in their half, he was making all the wrong decisions. So yeah, I think the Cucurella and Gallagher decisions for me were the worst out of all of them.
We just didn't have a creative midfield player. That's it.
Yeah, for
sure. If you would have shifted Felix through the middle in a 10 and then Kovacic and Enzo, that's probably the best that you're going to get with, like, realistically who's going to start. And then I don't care what winger you bring it on. It would have looked miles better than whatever this was.
Yeah, I agree.
But, I think
you say that you have
no, all good. It's for me, and I'll take it back to you in a second, Jay. For me, it's not even just about, like you said, I mean, the formation, my main issue with it is you only had 2 days, so changing from the back three what the players are used to. And as much as we weren't getting amazing results, we were the better team in every game. Today, I would say we were the worst team. And how often has that even happened this season? Like, it hasn't happened often. Did we, we dropped a lot of points everywhere, lost games, drew way too many games. But how often were we the worst team? Today, we were the worst team against a team that's in the bottom half of the table. To be fair, along with us. I guess for the first time this season, we actually looked like where we are in the table, really. I guess, playing appropriately in that sense. But we played a 4-3-3, which is kind of like a base possession-heavy formation. Like, you try to control the ball, you try to control the play. That's why you put 3 midfielders in the middle. But we had none of that. Every time Kepa got the ball, he punted it. And obviously people are back to slating Kepa, saying, his distribution was awful today. And to be fair, also some of the easier passes were bad for him today. Absolutely. We will get to it straight in a second. But obviously the pass completion numbers are going to be awful if he punts everyone. And he punts everyone to Felix, who loses every header, punts everyone to Sterling, who loses every header. I'm not even sure he went many too hard birds, if I'm honest. So I can't even really talk about that. So we kept punting it and then probably trying to win the second balls after the long balls. That's probably why Gallagher was there, to win those kind of second balls. But we never kept the ball. Like, we just, the only person on the pitch, there were 3 players that were capable of keeping the ball. And it was Reece James, Kovacic, and Enzo Fernandez. Everyone else constantly lost the ball. Constantly. Maybe Felix at moments, but in general, we just constantly lost the ball. And we were playing Wolves. Like, we weren't playing Man City, Arsenal, flipping even Man United, or Real Madrid, mind you. No, it was Wolves. They've scored 13 goals at home this season. 13. And we didn't even have control. I mean, the game looked like a championship game. I know that's why Lampard excelled in the most, but especially after that potential penalty shout for the handball, it was like back, forth. I'm like, what is happening? Like, what is this? So no, it wasn't just the formation, but also what we did within the formation. We didn't keep the ball. We just kept going crazy. And we'll change the background in a second. But this were the average positions. Like, what is this? Like, Reece James is basically our forward. But Cucurella is doing nothing. But look at where Sterling is. Sterling is more... sorry, not Sterling. Felix is more inside than Sterling was. So there was no left side. What is the whole point? Well, how is Kai Havertz's average position in the middle of the centre circle? Just ahead of flipping Enzo Fernandez. How does that even happen? I just have so many questions. Like, I'm just baffled by...
You would have shown somebody that graphic, they would have told you we were playing a back 3.
Yeah. And even then, you're like, but who's the left wing back? Like, who? What? Felix? Do you know what I mean? Like, oh my days.
Kovacic.
Yeah, Kovacic, yeah.
Inverted
wing back Kovacic. And what was Kai Havertz playing number 8 under Frank Lampard?
Defensive midfield, bro.
Exactly. Like, what? Obviously, the average positions, it's always a bit of a... Because, especially when you look at it after full time, because substitutions happened, but some players still play 90 minutes, their positions are going to be a little bit all over the shop. So it's not the perfect sign for everything, but it still gives you an inkling about how that was just... Like, how did we play a back 3, but this is where we were? Felix and Sterling the most forward, but they never had the ball in any forward area. Like, what? I'm just baffled. But let's get through these player ratings. Let's start with Kepa. Distribution poor to some extent, but obviously a lot of long balls, which that isn't his fault. That's instruction. And if anyone tries to tell me otherwise, well, I'm sorry, but you're wrong. Like, Kepa never punts the ball. We've had 2.5 years of him never punting the ball. And now he does. And you think he did that on his own accord. What? Seriously. But anyway, I don't think he can do anything about the goal. But I still don't think it was good in terms of, like, some of the passes, like when he played it to Fofana or to Reece, I'm like, why? Why so under hit and why? But even a few of the long balls, so much as I criticize the punting maybe from a managerial side of view or from a tactical point of view, the long balls were still not any good, you know? Like, some of them, there was no Chelsea player anywhere near it. I'm like, Kepa, you're better than that. I know you haven't tried punting a ball in 2 years, but you still need to be better at it than this. Like, I don't know. I want to just give him a 6 because, again, obviously the goalie rating is a bit different than outfield because I'm like, you can't really do anything about the goal. But I'm going to give him 5.5 just because I still don't think his distribution was good enough. But I don't think he can do anything about the goal, so I'm not just going to give him a 3. But yeah, we'll see what you boys think. Pice, I'll start with you. What would you give Kepa then?
Yeah, probably the same rating, to be honest. I thought some of his passes weren't as good today.
Yeah.
But I don't think the shot was savable, to be honest. I think it was a screamer.
Yeah.
Like, you know, if it's like a straight on shot, it can still be a screamer. Like, but from that angle, I mean, some people were like, well, you know, from angles you should be prepared and all that. But, you know, I've told you already.
It was up and down. Like, what can you do?
Yeah, like I blame Cucurella more personally for not closing down fast enough.
Yeah. Jay, would you agree on a 5.5? How obviously you've not been on these player ratings ones before, even if Clutch says you've been on a stream. I don't think it was a player rating one. So, like I said, to me, a goalie is always, it's just different to an outfield player because a goalie can only do so much. When an outfield player, you're like, well, do more. can't ask a goalie to score a goal, can I? But what did you make of the goal? What did you make of him today?
I'll have to agree with everything you guys said. The goal's unsavable. No one can save that. Any goalkeeper is really going to struggle with one of them ones. Yeah. His distribution is supposed to be his best asset, and today it wasn't. Like, it was really poor. I think his organisation of his defence as well has been pretty poor. Like the kind of moments where, you know, you see a Koulibaly or a Fofana in need of him to be there, and I don't feel like he popped up as much. So I feel like I'd agree with the 5.5 or even go to a 5, to be honest, because I wasn't impressed. Kepa's supposed to be the guy with the ball at his feet, and today he really flapped that, didn't he?
No, it's true. Absolutely. I do agree. Clutch, what about you? 2 5.5s, one kind of 5.5, maybe 5. So if you go 5, I might give the chat a poll. But what do you think? Then we might have plenty of other opportunities to give out polls. So you don't have to do it for that reason.
It's poll time, boys. I was giving him a 5 regardless.
All right. We'll get the poll out.
I don't blame. I agree. I don't blame him for the goal. I see people blaming him for the goal. That's just stupid. I'm sorry. I don't call people stupid often, but blaming him for that goal is really stupid. There's not a goalie on the planet that saves that. So don't really do that. But at the same time, I thought there was a lot of times when he cleared the ball, like when he went to pass the ball, he just cleared it out of bounds terribly, too many times. And I'm like, we're never gonna bring it back if you keep doing that. And that's why I'm giving him a little bit less than a 5.5.
That's all right. Ladies and gentlemen, get involved in the poll in the chat. And let's see what we give Kepa in the end. Let's move to the centre-backs then. And one thing we haven't actually talked about yet, is Fofana injured? Because like the FOTMob, I was looking at it when I was like, hold up. Is that because I don't know, I think I was like preparing the something for the stream. So I wasn't looking at the screen for a minute. And then all of a sudden I look and I'm like, wait, is that Chalobah? Who did Chalobah come on for? And then I look on the app and it says, where's Fofana come off? With like a little hospital cross thing next to him. I'm like, hold up. Did he get injured? Obviously, we had that where he got that little clip on the back of his heel and then Kepa put it out and the ref didn't give a free kick. But is he actually injured? Like, have you heard anything, Pice? But if you haven't, what did you make of him? And that's the more concerning thing. Because he was the best player today, I thought. And then he's the one that gets injured.
Yeah, well, the stream I was on, the commentator said he was feeling his hamstring or something, but
Really?
yeah, I didn't notice it. Like
I know what happened. Do you want me to tell you? I know
But
when it happened. I see he was holding his ankle.
Talking about the hamstring, then
he was holding his ankle. So there was one point when Fofana it was towards the end of the game. He kind of effed it a little bit. And he started running back towards Kepa, and it was like a really poor pass to Kepa, but he got clipped in the ankle and went down, and that's when Kepa also made a really bad pass, and he kind of stayed down holding his ankle.
I think Kepa put it out of bounds on purpose because he thought Fofana was hurt, I think. But regardless of that, doesn't change anything now. But I just flipping hope he's not injured. Please be fit for Wednesday. But then again, does it really matter? But no, I do hope he's fit. But in general, Pice, do you agree with me that he was probably our best player? Maybe Reece, I guess, but between those two, I would say.
Just reading Lampard had an interesting quote. I'll read that.
Boys gave everything?
No.
Damn it.
Fofana, I mean, he was our best player, honestly. I think he was our best player. He made a fantastic tackle in the box in the first half, which I thought might have been a penalty, but then I watched it back and it was such an amazing tackle.
You know how ridiculous that was? Like, he was in midair and still shifted his right leg over to block the ball.
Yeah, he's so good, man. I love Fofana. He doesn't let us down. We lost one. I can't give too high rating, but probably I'm going to give him like a 7.5. I think. Yeah, I think he did very well today, and he was actually driving forward as well, like carrying the ball forward, trying to get us up the pitch. I think he played a really nice long pass to someone. I think it might have been Felix in the first half. But yeah, he was our best player, I think, today.
Which is just the concerning thing that our two best players, I guess, along with Enzo, not on the day, but in general, are the two most injury-prone ones. Brilliant. That is just the luck that we have. Clutch, would you agree with the 7.5? Did you think he was good or our best player until he obviously had to come off? Not that means much today.
I do think he was our best player. Like that tackle that Pius mentioned, that was ridiculous. That was one of the most ridiculous tackles I've ever seen. I thought it was a penalty at first, and when they showed the replay, I'm like, I don't know how that man shifted in midair like that. Like, he literally looked like an anime character somehow. I would give him a 7 because towards the end, he started holding onto the ball a little bit too much and getting us into a lot of bad positions. That's the only reason I'd go down to 0.5. But other than that, I thought he was by far the best player on the field.
Fair dues. Fair. Can't talk. Brent says nobody gets a 7 today. We lost to Wolves, which is obviously a fair point, but I still think it's harsh on.
Oh, don't worry, people.
That did okay to get thrown under a bus just because 8 others decided to be absolute clowns. Well, let's say 9 because unfortunately the manager did as well. But yeah, 7.5 and a 7 from Clutch so far. Jay, which side of that would you agree with, or would you go for something different completely?
I'm going 7.5. I think you've all said it. He was the best player on the pitch. The tackle was insane. The slow-mo of that was a beauty. He's definitely a fun player to have around and happy, because our defense is kind of shocky a little bit. So to have someone like him, a young player, it's just worrying about the injury. But yeah, 7.5. He was definitely our best player. Didn't get better than him really. So yeah, I think I'm agree with that.
Fair. So yeah, no, I was going to go 7.5 about that as well. I do see what Clutch is saying with that at the end, but I feel like it might have only been once or twice, and it's just accentuated. So it feels like more, but obviously I'm not trying to tell you wrong. I don't fully know either, do I? Let's jump on, by the way. We had a few more people in already, like 10 minutes ago. But if you're still here, we have over 400 people. Subscribe if you haven't already. Road to 20,000 subscribers. So please hit that subscribe button and smash the like button, because that helps me spread these streams and videos out to more different people. All right, let's get to Koulibaly on the other side, because one other thing I need to mention for Fofana, he also helped out Koulibaly on a number of occasions. There was another, I think, block that Fofana had in the first half, which I thought was very strong. But yeah, Koulibaly, I don't really know what I think of him today, because he had a couple of good tackles, especially one very early to block across. His pass completion is 93%. He had the most tackles in the game with 4 out of 5 tackles. Duels, he won 6 out of 8. Aerial duels, 2 out of 2. Didn't commit a single foul. He got dribble past twice. Okay, he had 10 clearances, 5 headed clearances. I'm not sure if that's 5 of the 10 is headed or plus 5 headed ones. Don't know. But weirdly, he on FotMob here, he got a highest rating. I'm not sure if SofaScore says the same, but I was initially thinking like 5.5, but maybe then I'll have to go a little bit higher than that looking at these stats. And I know eye test plays a part as well.
SofaScore's in the mud because it wasn't Koulibaly. It was Reece James.
Oh no, I'm not saying SofaScore is then therefore wrong. You could most certainly.
I'm saying it's wrong.
Yeah, you mean in terms of Fofana, but they obviously do it because Fofana came off as well, didn't he? I'm gonna give Koulibaly a 6. Maybe judging by the stats, maybe I should even give him slightly above average, but I feel like I can't because the amount of times I felt like Fofana was helping Koulibaly out, and even Cucurella was dreadful. But even Cucurella, I thought, was helping Koulibaly out at times. To be fair, also Koulibaly helped Cucurella. But yeah, it's just, yeah. I just don't know. And the whole, both of these guys are supposed to be quite good at passing. Now, their pass completion rates are great. But I'm like, did any of you play a useful forward pass? I don't know. I'm going to say 6. Jay, what did you make of Koulibaly? I don't know if you felt the same as me, where you're like, felt that he wasn't great. And now I'm not sure if you look at the stats, but when I look at the stats, I'm like, well, maybe I was a bit harsh in my initial thoughts then. So then I had to kind of raise about a little bit, but I'm still not 100% sure if that's what I want to do. But what would you give Koulibaly, and what did you think of him today?
I think this is one of his better games, and that shows you how poor he's been. I think he's been very, very rubbish this season, very shaky. And today I thought he actually did put in a bit of a shift that I was impressed with. I think there was a few tackles in there. There was a few interceptions in there that were pretty solid. But I think the reason why it's hard for us to give him a highest result is that, like you say, he's very worrying presence. I feel like when he's because you feel like he can definitely get caught with a bit of speed, and then it looks like all he wants to do is foul someone. Then when he's on the ball, he's passing like you say it was complete. Was it 100% completion rate today or very high?
Very high, yeah.
He even then though, it is only to Fofana who then gets him out of trouble, like you said. So he was it wasn't great, but he was one of his best. So that just shows you how good he is. I think in saying that, I have to. And then if you look as well, if you're looking at Fofana, he was definitely our best player, and he's a 7.5. You can't give Koulibaly any higher than a 6. So yeah, it's definitely between a 5.5 and a 6 for me. But I'm going to lean towards 6 after hearing those stats.
There you go. Fair enough. Clutch, what would you say?
I was also going to give him that 6. I did think he had a couple of nice tackles, but other than that, I thought he was very rash sometimes. He did get helped out a lot by Fofana quite a bit, so I'd only give him a 6.
Fair enough. Pies, two things. Number one, did anyone post that quote from Lampard? Because then I can bring it up on screen. Otherwise,
Yeah,
I'll just
me.
read it out.
Yeah, me.
You did. Okay, no, because sometimes Bailey does, right, for the post game one. So I'm like, I don't know who did. But all right, I'll bring that up in a second then. But you tell me, what did you make of Koulibaly and what would you rate him today?
I was stuck between a 5.5 and a 6. Yeah, I probably would give him a 6 to be fair, because the stats you read out weren't too bad. I don't think he was awful, but I do agree. He was helped out quite a bit by Fofana. He didn't look as uncomfortable on the ball as he usually does. He made a couple of good tackles as well, but I don't know, man. Yeah, it's very average. I'd much prefer to see Maddsion play, but I do get the point a little bit, about Champions League and stuff. But
I miss Thiago Silva.
Yeah. Well, apparently some of
what
our
I
fans
miss is
on Twitter
journalists with a brain. Can someone ask when he's fit? Because he was supposedly going to be out for 5 to 6 weeks. This is now more than 5.5 weeks ago. Where is he?
Well, he was in training last week, I thought, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was on the grass at least.
Yeah, on the
I
grass.
didn't think he was training.
He should be back soon, surely, but
it has to be.
Hell,
I miss Thiago, man.
Because you might as well let him sit out the rest of the season if he's not back by the second leg for Madrid, right? Do you know what I mean? But yeah, like I say, I would probably agree.
Hey, he might score a header from a corner or something. We might win 1-0.
No, exactly that. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, I'd probably give him the 6, like I say. Let me bring this quote from Lampard up on screen, because having read over it here, I'm a little bit confused by what exactly he's trying to say. So let's read it through here, and then we can kind of make of that what we want together. Lampard is angry with the lack of aggression shown by the players. If you're worried, don't come. Who are we talking about? The fans? Or the players? Like, who is if you're worried?
Like he's saying, like, if you're worried to the player, like if you're a player and you're worried, like don't bother coming, like getting into tackles and that. I think that's
but don't come to where? You put them on
to the match. Like don't bother playing. I know. The thing is, though, he does.
Maybe this is his way of saying
all season. Don't come at the players after.
Bro, he does this all the time. Though. Like
Graham Potter spent 7 months. Graham Potter spent 7 months. Didn't throw the players under the bus once.
Bro, he did this
for one game, and the first thing he does is play the players. Like, what are you doing?
This is him, though. He does this all the time because he hates losing, so he just goes at the players. Like, he did this first time round. He did it at Everton a couple of times. Like, it's just who he is as a person.
I mean, do I think he's wrong? No, I don't think he's wrong at all. But But then again, at the same time, I'm like, with how the season has gone, considering he's only caretaker anyway, maybe he should be doing that. Maybe he should get onto the team because they were let off too much for the whole season. I know Kovacic said in this interview that, he's aware it's easy to sack the coach and 30 players, but they need to look at themselves too. So at least Kovacic is aware of that. Don't know how many of the others are. But as much as I just laughed at it now in terms of Potter didn't play the players once, maybe it's good that Lamps does because no one else fucking done it this season, and we look what that got us. Fucking 11. Do you know what I mean? So, like, I don't know. I mean,
having a go at Kova? Having a go at Kova there? Because it looks like a lot like he's having a go at Kovacic.
This is the next thing. Like, what is he doing? If you're
to be fair, here's the thing. Like, I kind of agree on a little bit because I'm like, I don't think Kovacic should be the captain. I love Kovacic, don't get me wrong. I just don't think he's like the leader type guy.
No, I don't think so either. Pies, where did you get the quote from? Did someone else just post the same quote, or did you read it?
Yeah, I think it was Blue Dodgers, I think.
There you go. Just because I've really been intrigued, I don't know if there's any more context to it or anything. Because...
No, this was it. I literally just like copied it pretty much, then like the title was like the Lampard's angry. Like that's how I interpreted it. But the quotes.
No, I hear you. I'm just like if you're worried, don't come. Worried about what? Players shouldn't be worried. Kovacic just won 2 Champions Leagues. Or if you've just arrived, you're here for a reason.
He told football.london.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's literally the same quote. I tweeted out.
Okay, fair enough. Like, Jay, what do you make of that comment?
Yeah, it's a confusing one. The context of it is quite hard to grasp because it feels like it's like, if you're worried, don't come. The players shouldn't be worried. And then he kind of praises Kovacic. Is that a backhanded compliment? I'm not sure. I mean, listen, the players were shit today. But it probably isn't the right thing to do because we know this group of players are quite a I don't know what the word would be. So I don't want to say sensitive because that has negative connotations, but they're not the kind of players if you fully get like hammer them, they're not the type to perform under that. They're more, they're not inclined to do that. It isn't, the early 2000s or 90s where all you have to do is shout at players and they'll run for you. So maybe this isn't the way to go, which is worrying for me. But the quote itself is a little bit confusing, to be honest. But yeah, he's a frustrated geezer, isn't he? Like we all are.
Yeah, honestly, like RD says here, is this a praise or is he misreading something? I don't know, because I cannot imagine Kovacic being worried. And I also didn't necessarily, not that Kovacic was good today, but I don't think he was like the main issue today. So I'd find it weird to pick him out anyway. I don't know if Lampard is like, okay, he's one of the only ones that can maybe handle if I say anything about him. So maybe that's why he used him as the example. I don't know. I mean, he obviously goes on to say, I'm not saying the squad doesn't have the aggression. It's bringing it together, which, again, he's right with that, with saying that. But do you need to say it to the media? That's what I'm
currently reading about Chelsea's post-game thing.
You see, he says there, it has to be said to be dealt with. But why not? Why say it to the media? Why don't you just say it to them? That's what I don't get. Like, why say it in your press conference if you've already told them this? Like, that doesn't make sense to me. But
he said on the Chelsea official stand app, he said, I told the lads at halftime in second half, because he was talking about, I felt they had more aggression in their game. I told the lads at halftime, and at half, I feel like we corrected that slightly. We created more chances and looked the team more likely to score. But, of course, this is the stage where we're down 1-0 and had to work to do so.
We didn't look more likely. No one looked more likely to score. It was just a fucking shit game. I don't understand that either.
Yeah, I don't either. I'm just trying to find where this Lampard comment on the website is, because on the website I can't find it. And obviously what is on the app I can't show on screen right now. But I mean, we go on with another comment, struggles to play out from the back. I wouldn't even call it struggles. I would refusal to try. My job is to work with the team to give the idea of what I want. I was relying on the players today a little bit and giving some messaging. We saw bits of it. I think our players can all accept the ball. You need to find the right solutions and the right ideas. You have the options where you can play over the press. Again, he's not wrong in every word of what he said here, except that he leaves out that you put them in a formation that they're not as comfortable in. If you put them in a 3-4-3, they would have played out from the back, no problem, because that's what they've done for the last 2 years and 2 months. like if you
exactly
need a bigger hint that it wasn't just the players not doing things today. Tell me the last time you saw Kepa kick the ball from his hands. Tell me the last time any of you saw that. It's not happened.
I noticed that as well. I was like, what the hell? We just booted it long from his hands. That exactly. Long pause he did. That was definitely an instruction. And we didn't even have anyone taller.
Like, how can you say I was relying on the players a little bit? Sorry. I'm so confused. I don't want to go in on Lampard for these potentially slightly out of context quotes from a press conference, because it's always like you need to hear the question. You need to so I don't want to be too harsh, but these 2 quotes, I'm not the biggest fan of. Again, I have my way of looking at the first one, like, okay, maybe this is slightly necessary ahead of a game as big as Madrid. Get into them a little bit, because what? Like, the players will stop trying. What's that going to do? We don't win games? Well, we've done that all season already, so that's not going to make anything worse. And what? Are the board going to sack Lampard? What? They just put him in for 7 weeks. Maybe he is exactly the guy to tell the players some hard truths that they need to hear, to be fair. But it's not great. My God. Let's get back to the ratings. Let's go to Cucurella first. The goal. Obviously, Pice, you said it earlier, for you, it's like the closing down, which is just didn't happen quickly enough. For me, it's more the position before, because once he was that far away, he was kind of stuck in a difficult position, because if he closes him down too aggressively, the guy will see that and just take a touch around him and make him look like a mug. And now the way he did it instead is where he stops it like 3 yards before the player and tries to kind of block whatever is happening, a shot or a corner or a cross. Well, he just shot it past you. So that didn't work. But, I mean, he just wasn't any useful today, was he? I mean, again, not all his fault. Well, a lot of it is his fault. But we know he doesn't attack. but when Felix is here and Cucurella doesn't go any higher than here, well, then brilliant. Great area of the pitch to not have anyone ever. So I don't know how much I want to blame, how much blame I want to put on Cucurella for that, though, because I'm like, well, I know this is what you do. So should I blame you for doing what I know you do? You know? It's like almost like when I was like, well, yeah, but do I blame Jorginho for being slow? I know he's slow. Can't do anything about it. To be fair, Cucurella can do something about going forward. But I don't know. I'm going to give him... I really think it was poor. Like 3. Maybe even that's pushing it, to be honest. Because I thought, like, there are some games when he was, like, super aggressive and then he gets dribble past too many times. Why is there no dribble pass stat? I literally watched him get dribble past 50 times today. Why is there no stat like that? Dribble pass 0 times. This is just so wrong. What are these stats with dribble pass? I don't understand. But anyway, apparently nil. Well, on other games, I was like, I never saw it. He apparently got dribble pass 7 times. Don't understand how they come to these conclusions. But anyway, his pass completion rate was 82%. All of the other 3 defenders were above 90. Completed 0 out of 2 crosses. One of them got blocked for a corner at least. Ground duels, he won 4 out of 6. That's all right, I guess. Possession lost 11 isn't the worst. Committed 1 foul, was fouled once. I don't know, man. It really wasn't great. 3 tackles. I'm not sure how many of them were successful. 1 out of them, apparently. Yeah, I'm going to say 3. Maybe you boys will even go lower. Pice, would you go lower than that even? Or what would you give Cucurella?
Tempted to give him a 0, to be honest. No, I genuinely I thought he was fucking awful. But I mean, yeah, 3 I had in my head as well, to be honest. I mean, I don't even know what I'm giving him points for because he was terrible going forward and he was terrible defensively, in my opinion. So, like, even from minute 1, they had this. I'm sure they had a plan to attack his side because that's the only side they bloody went down all game, especially in the first half. Like, it was just. Oh my God, he's so bad at defending, man. I don't understand it. I don't understand how he doesn't do anything going forward either, because one of the reasons why he was one of my favourite players to watch outside the top 6 when he was at Brighton and they weren't in the top 6 was because he was so good going forward. He was so good. He was so bright. He was always delivered good crosses. He got a great assist against us when he played for Brighton, when he delivered the ball into Welbeck. Every time he got down that side today, the crosses hit the first man. He was dreadful. And I think personally, I get what you mean about, he might take a touch when he closes him down. But even then, like Clutch says, you've then got, you might get like a little bit of the fans go, oh, but then the Chelsea defence will have time to set up their position. And then Cucurella can chase him anyway. So I think he closed him down way too slowly. I think he, maybe that's what Lampard's talking about in terms of like the aggression. Like maybe that was a shot at Cucurella as well for saying, well, why aren't you, going for the ball? Why aren't you taking one for the team? If you get hit in the stomach, you get winded. You get hit in the stomach, you get winded. So I don't know, man. I just think he was, just weak today. I don't think Chilwell did very well when he came on either, but Chilwell's levels, absolutely levels. I'm sorry, levels.
Yeah, there you go. Fair enough. Clutch, I'll go with you. Did you agree in the end with the 3, Pice?
Yeah, whatever. I mean, I could give him 1, 2, 3, 0, anything.
Fair enough. Clutch, then, would you agree with the 3, or rather, if it's less about the rating once we're talking in these realms, what would you say about his performance? Do you agree with Pice in terms of the closing down, or how do you see that go?
I mean, here's the kind of way I'm going to give him a 2. I'm going to start off with that. Here's how I see it. He could have gotten dribbled around for sure, but if you see the guy winding up, standing there isn't going to do anything. You have to put him off somehow. So just rush him. If he goes around you, he goes around you. That gives you a vital few seconds that, hey, either your defense is going to set up, catch up, do whatever they got to do. And we're not conceding that goal. I mean, it is that goal that we ended up conceding. So at the end of the day, I mean, I'm like, okay, it's a wonder goal. It was a hell of a shot. It is what it is. No goalie's saving it. It doesn't matter. But you have to do what you can, and Cucurella just didn't do what he can or could in that moment, and I think that is on him specifically. Going forward, like Pi said, I remember putting this in the group chat. He was good going forward at some point. I don't know what happened. I have zero clue. I don't know whether Potter ruined him, whoever ruined him within this time frame that he showed up here at Chelsea. I don't know. But like today, it's just not the Cucurella that I remember. And unfortunately for him, he had to do it all alone too. So at the end of the day, it's not fair. It's not fair to him, but he was just not good enough. So I give him a 2.
Fair enough. Jay, where would you go for Cucurella? We've had, I guess, 2 3s, even though I'm not quite sure what Pies exactly wanted to give. I guess, and Clutch goes for the 2. What would you give Cucurella?
I was thinking 2, to be honest. I think in that first half, literally they were attacking Cucurella like just for fun. They were like, all right, they didn't even bother going down Reese's side because they knew they weren't going to get through. But whenever they tried to get past Cucurella, they kind of did. I think there was moments for the goal, like you say, should have closed him down. Might not have affected anything, but at least seeing that from him would have made it better for us to take. And then also there was times like, I think, when we had a corner and he'd beat one of 2 back. And like, I think there was a moment when there's a counter attack on and he just wasn't even running. Like it's like he looked lost. He was waiting for Koulibaly to press the man and not tracking the other man running. Like there was so many moments throughout this game where he didn't look like a competent defender, and I just can't give him any higher than a 2 in my opinion, just because of that. And maybe it's not his fault because he shouldn't have been playing, and he clearly looks better in a back 3, but he's there to do a job and just didn't do it in the slightest.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree. We give him a 2.5 overall. Then let's get to Reece James on the other side. Second best player of ours, I thought today. Not really sure what rating I want to give him, if I'm honest. Pass completion was very strong, 95%. That he played some good crosses too. I know the completion is 4 out of 17, but again, crosses aren't all about being completed. That's not all on the crosser, I'm trying to say. He played a few good ones. Successful dribbles, 4 out of 5 is strong. He was one of the only players that helped us beat Wolves' press, really. And that was when he did it by himself. Tackles, 1 out of 3. That's not great. Ground duels, 8 out of 12 is okay. But from Reece, to be honest, I even expect a bit more. But my biggest issue with Reece today was the fact that he played 90 minutes. That's my main issue, really. But yeah, in terms of what he played, I'm thinking 6.5, 7. Do people think that's too high? I'm going to say 6.5, I guess. But do I really think he was a whole point worse than Fofana? Not really. So I could also do 7, but I'm going to go 6.5 for now and see what you boys think. Clutch, what would you give James?
In my mind, it's a little tough because when you were talking about, somebody was talking about Cucurella not sprinting back at one point, and towards the end of the game, James didn't look bothered. And I really don't like that from James. I want you to be the guy to look bothered. Out of everybody, you are one of the people who, at the end of the day, is it doing bad things? Do you want me to hold up? Like, what's it doing?
It sounds normal, and then all of a sudden it goes to sounding like you're in an aluminium capsule.
Aluminum? No, okay.
Yeah,
I'll keep talking.
Aluminium.
If he keeps doing it. If I keep talking and it does it, then I'll leave and I'll try to fix it. But
it's all good now.
To kind of finish my point, like I'm in between a 6 and a 6.5. Like I think 6.5 is probably what I would give him off of performance, but I want to go a little lower because the end of the game really pissed me off because I watched at one point Pulisic lost the ball and he was literally walking back as the guy was running past him, and I would go off on another player. I remember doing that not too long ago, so I have to go the same with him. Even though I love Reece James and Reece James is great, I'm going to give him a 6.
There you go. I mean, I don't fully disagree with a lot of the cranky pants had here. He's unfit is maybe the wrong word, but not fully fit. I'm not gassed out after an hour. Part of it, I think, could maybe the case. Not looking bothered by the end. Could be being gassed out. Could be being annoyed that he's still on the pitch because maybe he wasn't supposed to be. We don't know. Maybe there was a plan to take him off after an hour, but that didn't happen. But for who? Like, you didn't have a right back on the bench. I guess you could have put Chalobah or Fofana there, but it wasn't a real right back on the bench. Yeah, and that's the concerning thing. And now we can't even just blame Potter for it anymore. Brilliant. But yeah, 2 6.5 so far. Then I'll go with Pice next. What do you think?
Probably gonna go with a 6.5 as well that we got on the screen. I actually think I'm glad you've read it out now. I think his crosses, bar 2, I think, were really, really shocking today. I generally, I thought so many crosses, like he did bad, but also so many where like he looked like he was about to cross and then he just like stalled and played it back, and that really annoys me when people do that. It reminded me of Victor Moses, to be honest. But it doesn't also help that we don't have anyone in the box to fucking cross it to. But that's why I want to at least just. I know he's not very good, but at least with Aubameyang, you've got someone in there, So Yeah, I don't think he played that great today. His influence on the games is a bit questionable at the moment. I don't blame him fully, but I think he could do a lot better. There was a couple of times where he overlapped really, really nicely, and I thought, okay, like this is proper Reece James. This, but other than those overlaps, I don't know whether it was just I don't think he wasn't bothered. I don't know, man. They did a lot of doubling up on that side as well. So, yeah, I would say 6.5. It wasn't his best game, but I am also surprised he played 90 minutes today. I thought he would have come off after 60. He's got to now play. I mean, maybe we do see him, right centre back and a back three on Wednesday, but
especially now Fofana is potentially injured.
Yeah, I mean, God knows what Lampard's going to do.
We're going to play Cucurella and Reece James in the back three against Real Madrid. I can already see it coming with Maddsion not being eligible.
Scared, don't say that, man.
I'm already scared.
Yeah. Don't say it, but who the fuck else can you play? Thiago Silva's injured, Maddsion isn't eligible. Fofana might be injured, so then you have Koulibaly, Chalobah, and that's it. So then you're picking between Chalobah and either Cucurella or Reece James if you're playing a back three, and we should play a back three. Yeah. Please, Fofana, just be fit. My God. By the way, sorry, and Clutch has informed me he said 6, not 6.5. So 2 6.5s and 1 6 so far, Jay. I'm actually not fully in agreement with you, Pies. I know we gave the same rating, but I don't actually think his crosses were all bad. I think half of it is the issue if you don't put anyone at the far post because we were incapable of using that left side, makes the crosses from the right much more difficult because there's no one there. It's basically only Havertz, and also the defenders have no one but Havertz to worry about, which means they can all focus on Havertz, making it as invisible and poor as Kai was. It would also makes his job more difficult if he has 4 defenders worrying only about him because there's no one else to be crossed to. So I'm not fully in agreement with you that all the crosses were bad. Also, a lot of the 17 were, I think, the corners, personally. Not just open play crosses, because he definitely didn't play 17 open play crosses. No chance.
Corners kind of crosses.
Yeah, no, there you go. But yeah, 2 6.5s then and 1 6. Jay, are you going to give us a poll? Are you going to agree with the 6.5? What are you going to do?
Well, I was actually going to give him a little bit higher. I agreed with you. I thought his crosses were actually good. I thought if we had a competent striker, we would have at least drew that game, because there was a fair few times where I think there was one that went through a player's legs and literally went to the back post, and it just needed a tap in. Something that you would have saw Sterling do thousands of times at City, but just no one seemed to be there and ready. And I thought, he was again one of the stronger players, but the point that Clutch made about the end of the game, him kind of lacking off and that mentality leaving, definitely does bring it down. I kind of didn't realize that because I was probably just so angry with everything anyway. But that is definitely a very fair point and does bring him down to a 6.5. I don't think it was terrible, but I think it was just not his best. And I think that injury is still playing on his mind a little bit, and his form is definitely taking a hit because of that. And I think he just needs to get this surgery done the second where the season's done, man.
But that's why I'm so baffled that he played again today. How can he come back from injury, pull out of the England squad, and start 3 games in a row? How is that a thing? Well, I say that because we all know he will start against Madrid. So it will then be 3 starts in a row. And unless he gets injured, he will play another 90. Why are we doing that? I just can't understand this logic. Actually, it's already 3, isn't it? Because he started against Villa too. So he started Villa, Liverpool, and now today, and will start Madrid. So that 4 starts in a row even. It's not even just 3. My days.
The thing is, though, with today, the subs needed to be used on the attacking players because none of them looked like they was going to get a goal. It's kind of like an unfortunate dilemma, isn't it, for the manager? Because James was looking okay, and we needed a goal if we wanted to get any from the game. It is actually a bit of a sticky one. But then again, there's 5 subs, so.
And he only made 4.
And the fact that we couldn't negotiate Gusto to come midway through the season, but
that's a shout.
Something we know.
Again, he could have just played a back 3 and played Ruben right wing back.
Yeah, Ruben's
he's not going to do that, bro. He's not going to do that.
No, he probably won't. No, it's true. It's true.
Lampard just does not know how to do the back 3.
You've seen 2 managers with more experience than you play him there, and he's done well almost every time he's played that position. Why wouldn't you?
He also watched 2 managers
play over Reece, obviously.
He also watched 2 managers get sacked as well. So
did he. So
Ruben centre back. Let's do it.
Frank was lucky that he didn't get sacked at half time today. Quite frankly, honestly, Bowley could have turned up and was like, all right, we've had enough. Bring Bruno back, Send a private jet and see if Bruno is there for the second
So we
half.
can play a back three with a midfield three and 2 strikers who don't score. Love that again.
Yeah. Man.
Well, yeah, but at least we created chances, unlike today. Do you know what I mean?
Because we rely too heavily on our wingbacks, which is the unfortunate.
Against Liverpool.
No, as a team, that's what we do. We rely too
against Liverpool,
heavily on.
We weren't. So for once, it was actually we weren't relying on the wingbacks. Which was great in a way. But obviously,
you need a hard
it wouldn't have
reset.
gone like it did against Liverpool, against Wolves, obviously, because they defend very differently. But certainly
Bruno
well
Baltor.
today, that's for damn sure. And by the way, Clutch, we also played a 3-5-2 against Real Madrid last year. Because you say, when did the 3-5-2 ever work? We played a 3-5-2 last year.
Was that the one we lost or the one we won?
Both.
So both.
Yeah, because we played Timo.
Were we terrible until we
Kai up
switched?
front,
Hold up.
and then a midfield three behind them. I'm pretty sure. But regardless, let's get to Enzo Fernandez. Deep lying 6 today, not his position. Wolves basically set their most of the tactics out to stop Enzo getting on the ball. They did so relatively successfully. He had how many touches? To be fair, he had 102, more than some other games, but obviously the position will make you have more touches. But yeah, I don't think he was bad as such. He had 88% pass completion, 4 out of 6 long balls. But when you compare that to the last few games, he had always double-digit long balls. Today, he only got to 6, which, what does that tell you about the forward movements? Ground duels, okay, 4 out of 7, so all right, I guess. 2 out of 3 air duels even. Dribble passed 3 times. There was a couple of occasions where I'm like, you could have done better there. But yeah, I'm just going to give him an average 6. I don't think he deserves more, but I don't think he deserves less, if I'm being honest. Jay, how do you see that about Enzo today?
Mate, exactly that, isn't it? Like, I think this was a game where he didn't do anything really wrong and then didn't really do anything enough to big up the game. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think Enzo in the last couple of games, he's been great since he came in. He's been a player that's really slotted in straight away, and it's hard for players to do that. But today, he I think, to be fair, Wolves got it right. They knew to block him out of the game. They kind of looked at that tactically and got that right. But yeah, no, didn't do anything bad enough to get anything lower than a 6. I think, again, you bob on there, mate. That middle of the road kind of just solid, but not enough.
Fair play. Pipes, I think you're back after feeding your dog, so I hope you fed your dog well. Would you agree on a 6 for Enzo Fernandez today, or what did you make of him, and what would you rate him?
I think that's slightly too harsh. I'd give him a 6.5. I think actually he did very well considering the unbalanced midfield. I thought he was spraying passes really nicely. I didn't think he played well. I didn't think he was going to play as bad as I thought he would in that position. In terms of I don't think he's played there before 4-3-3 lone 6. So I'd give him a 6.5. I think he did actually quite well. Yeah, considering the structure was horrendous.
Yeah, all right, fair enough. 2 6s and 1 6.5. Then, Clutch, are you going to go along with Pice there and give him a 6.5, or what are you going to give Enzo?
I just didn't think he influenced the game the way he normally does. I'd give him a 6 probably. I just think he looked uncomfortable where he was. He didn't really come back to show himself for the ball as much as he probably could have. But again, he's not a lone 6. We know this. We know that about Enzo, and yet we keep doing it. Or we've done it today. I think he would have been much more comfortable in a double pivot with Kovacic or another player around him. But again, we just didn't see those passes that he normally breaks from the midfield. How many did he have long balls? 6? 6 long balls?
Attempted, 4 successful. Yeah.
I mean, how many times is it not over 10 since he's been with Chelsea?
First time, honestly.
So I think that just goes to show you the kind of positions that he was finding himself in today, and he wasn't able to influence the game from where he normally would like to.
Fair enough. I mean, Fly's very happy with us giving people high ratings. I just think the tactics and the lineup was much more wrong than most individuals. Obviously, Gallagher, Cucurella, and the forwards, we'll get to those. But I think to just say none of the players we've talked about yet deserve even a 6, well, that's just ridiculous. To be perfectly honest, what? We lost, like I say, we lost 1-0. You can't just give the defenders a 4 because he didn't won the goal. And if the manager and the rest of the team can't set up an attack, can't blame the defenders for that. It's not the defenders' fault that. But fair enough. Then we have 3 6s, so we leave Enzo Fernandez with the 6. We get to Mateo Kovacic. Outside of him getting booked, I think for complaining, rightfully so complaining, by the way. But anyways, complaining. 86% pass accuracy. Chances created 2. Don't remember those chances, if I'm honest. But did we even have 2 chances in the whole game? So I'm not sure how he can have created 2. 2 out of 2 dribbles. I don't know why he stopped dribbling recently. It's a bit weird. Like Rhys James had 5, Cobb had 2. How is that a thing? Passing to the final third, 16 is not bad. Dispossessed once, it's all right, I guess. Clearance is 2, header clearance 1, recovery is 5, ground duels 5 out of 7. It's good. I don't know. I'd probably give him the same 6 as I gave Enzo. I don't think he did any more or less good or bad, if I'm honest. Maybe we should give him a little lower because his job was more to make sure we create something, because obviously he was one of the 8s compared to Enzo, who was the 6. So you know what? On that note, I will actually give him a 5.5, just because, like, well, you were supposed to have created something, and we had basically no chance in the whole game. Like, really. I know, obviously, the cutback to Aubameyang, the shot from Gallagher from outside the box, but essentially those and the cross where Kai Havertz, in my opinion, should have got on the end of it, and I still didn't see a replay to see why he didn't. But that was like 3 moments, and they were all kind of half moments, really. I guess maybe the layoff to Chile, but that's shooting from 20 yards. Is that a real chance? Not to me. But yeah, so I'm going to say 5.5. Maybe some others will agree or disagree. That's fine. Pice, I'll let you go first. Do you think I'm being harsh? What would you give cover?
Honestly, I don't even disagree, to be honest. I thought he was not very good today, honestly, and I just don't think he. I don't know. It was very like, like he'd lose the ball, then he'd win it back, and it was just, I don't know. It was very like nothing was consistent. So yeah, I don't think he influenced the game as much as I would like him to. Those 2 chances created, I don't really remember, to be honest with you. I don't know what even goes down as a chance created nowadays with some of these apps, but
good point.
Yeah, like it was just, I don't know, man. Just he fit the theme for this game perfectly. It was just a bit of a basketball game at times. I think defensively, yeah, just wasn't very good. I think he got caught out quite a few times. But again, the structure, I mean, these players didn't have a fucking clue what to do. I'm not even going to lie. Like, he just didn't. It just felt like that when I was watching it. Yeah, I would give him a 5.5. I do think he was below average today. Yeah, could have definitely done more. I don't think he was as good on the ball as he usually is. He wasn't really progressing. It wasn't really dribbling past, players to at least set up chances or, set up a potential chance. So, yeah.
Fair enough. No, fair enough. I mean, a lot of the chat are even unhappy with that, calling us clueless. Give him a 4, 5, 3. Maybe we've gone even too nice here, to be honest. Clutch, do you think we've gone too nice? Would you give him lower than a 5.5?
I love a game of Clue. I think the chat's crazy. Game's fun as hell. No, I'd probably agree with you on Kovacic. Like, the thing is, like, even I don't know how much of a fault this is, but he's the captain, and we didn't look like we had leadership out there, and that's also on him to a degree. I don't blame him for the way we played because, I mean, the structure was not set up for creativity. We know Kovacic is not the most creative player in the world. We know that Gallagher's not creative even in 0.5 seconds of anything of life. But yeah, I don't think it was the game for him. I would have pushed him back in a double pivot, but I'm not going to blame him too much. Actually, you know what? I'm going to give him a 6. There you go, Pies. You can have it.
Fair. Jay,
I don't even want it today, bro. It's not the game where I want it.
No. Jay, what would you give cover?
Oh man, I feel a bit hard. I was really frustrated with cover today.
Okay, go on.
Man, I don't know what. I just felt like a lot of his decisions today were off. I think his passing seemed to be either the wrong pass or he'd hold on for it a bit too long and then he'd lose it and then he'd have to get it back himself. And yeah, and I feel like in that more creative role, he really did, not bring anything to it. And yeah, of course, that's probably not his game, so it might be harsh to think that. But I remember there was moments in this game where I was really frustrated with Kovacic above many other players, and so I was going to go a little bit lower than this. I was thinking more of a 4.5 myself. I thought,
I was thinking to even lower it to a 5, to be honest. So, yeah. If you want to go for 4.5, go for your 4.5.
Yeah.
Fair play, bro. Now, see, I'm not in full disagreement. It's just so difficult when you watch a game like this where there's no cohesion. Like, we basically just, to be honest, it never even felt like we got the ball past the midfield. And the only times we did was when Felix and Sterling dropped a bit deeper. Like, obviously, they're with a few exceptions, but in a game of 90 minutes, on how often that happened, it's just, and I guess that's partly on Kovacic too. Maybe it was a bit nice on Enzo too, but yeah, there you go. I mean, a 4.5, I guess maybe I'll go 5, but then a 5.5 and a 6 still leaves us at about between a 5 and a 5.5, to be fair. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'll give you guys a poll. Judging by the few of the answers I've seen in the chat, I think this is going to end up being a 5, but maybe with just a vocal minority. So, ladies and gentlemen, place your votes in the poll in the chat, and we'll see what we give Kovacic in the end. There you go. Let's get to Conor Gallagher then. My God. I mean, let me mention the one positive moment that he had. We broke kind of with a little bit of pace. I think it was him actually that won the ball back. 2 good moments he had, actually, to be fair. And he played a nice through ball to Sterling. It was just that Sterling decided to be an idiot. And instead of playing a relatively simple cross for a tap into Joao Felix, he decided to cut it back to Gallagher, who then had 4 defenders in front of him. Now, probably would have put his shot over anyway. Even though I'm not sure if it had the power to actually go. It might have dipped back down and made an easy save, but it certainly wouldn't have gone in, that's for sure. But why did Sterling cut it back? I don't think Gallagher expected a cut back either, because why would you? Why would you cross to Felix, who's alone, essentially? So, yeah, and then over there was this one super short moment of play where I thought he played it on nicely, but that's literally it. Otherwise, he kept fouling the ball. Every time he was pressured, he lost the ball. Like pretty much every player in our team, you can kind of pressure, and quite often they will find a way to somehow keep possession. But Gallagher is just one of these guys that just doesn't know how to do that. When he has more than one player around him, he just doesn't know what to do. And even if he has one of them in front of him, the only thing he knows how to do is turn around and bounce backwards. He doesn't know what else to do, and he has to work great. He tries hard. I get it. You know, he can clearly shoot from distance. Remember that win against Palace? But that was also the last time he did score, I think. So I think it was worse than Cucurella. No. So I'll give him the same. I'll give him a 3 like I did for Cucurella. I know you people all want me to say 0, but it's a bit fun if I just go 0. And it's no fun, sorry. If I just go 0 and don't leave any gaps for interpretation or for discussion, I suppose. So I'll say 3, but let's see what the boys say. Clutch, I'll let you go first. You let me know, by the way, like 10-15 minutes before you need to head off, so I'm aware. But yeah, you just want to give Gallagher the 0? Obviously you can. But what did you make of him?
I'm going to give the Gallagher the 0. I think he's one of the biggest problems we had, if not the biggest problem we had today. You play Gallagher with a different player, and we might have, who's a little bit more creative getting into those positions, and you might have a little bit more attacking prowess. Unfortunately, he's a workhorse. I shouldn't say unfortunately. Fortunately, he's a workhorse that he can get himself game time. And again, I just don't think he's a guy to start the game. I really would have preferred Felix down through the middle at some point, but we never got to see that. So I'm giving him a 0. I thought he didn't do anything to help us in the attack. He lost the ball constantly, and he ruined way more attacks than he even had a chance to start.
No, fair enough. I mean, obviously, I'm not a fan of giving credit for effort, but he was one of the only ones that did show effort throughout the actual entire game. Again, that doesn't make you good though, and that's why it becomes difficult. Effort doesn't mean you're good. You just try, but if you try and are shit, then it doesn't really help anyone, does it? Jay, a 5. At 1.5 we sit at now. 0 from Glad, to 3 for myself. Maybe I'll lower that to a 2 still. We'll see. What do you think? What would you give Gallagher on today, bro?
Yeah, he was rubbish to that. You know what? I feel people have been quite harsh to him in the past. I think when he comes on, he can inject a bit of life into a game that sometimes needs it. But today showed us clearly that he's not up for it. He was not good enough on the ball. He had probably 1 or 2 bright moments where he mixed well with James, but other than that, really, really looked clueless. And then a lot of running around, like when you're supposed to pressure a team, it isn't supposed to just be dart at them. It's supposed to be a bit smarter. It's supposed to be a bit, have a player with you and fully kind of get the ball off that way. But he just runs with kind of no ambition. Yeah, and I think today, if we don't have Gallagher in there, we put Kovacic back and then drop Felix back and have like a winger instead of Felix, maybe it's a different outcome. I think Clutch said something similar there. So, yeah.
Because you can't even say like that this midfield three gave us any more stability or control. So it's not like a 4-2-3-1 would have lost us any because we didn't have any anyway.
Yeah, for sure. He was here, there, and everywhere. It wasn't really in that 8 position, so it wouldn't have lost it in that way. So yeah, it is a very low score. It's probably the lowest. I was thinking 2, to be honest. So, but I would go over 1.5 to phase around there, and so. But I'll lock in 2.
Fairs. All right, let's see what Pice says before we lock in the final rating. Again, ladies and gentlemen, please place your vote for Kovacic's rating in the chat as well. Pice, are you going to go with Clutch? Just give him a 0, or is there anything else that you give him on the day? Like, I understand where Clutch is coming from with the whole unfortunate, but I'm like, I don't want to blame Gallagher for he has weaknesses that everyone's aware of. I mean, there's to some extent they're Gallagher's fault, but if you're not talented at something, you can't do nothing about that. Then it's the problem of who put you in that position to do. You know how you said, Clutch, if we had someone more creative in there. It's a fair point, absolutely. But we know that Gallagher isn't. So I don't really want to blame Gallagher for not being that. I blame Lampard for putting him.
Yeah, in the same regards that Kovacic, I said the same thing about Kovacic, right? But also somebody in the chat just reminded me.
I don't think Gallagher even can.
Yeah, I think somebody in the chat reminded me that he did have, when he did take that shot from Sterling, he could have played Pulisic in too.
Yep, 100%.
Yeah, is any player in the whole world gonna lay off
better than what he did there?
No, it's true, but you don't see a player next to you when you receive a cutback because
all he thinks is scoring.
In your brain, as a footballer, if you receive a cutback, you're going to shoot.
But he's a midfielder. He should not be thinking shoot first. He should be thinking, what's the options?
No, but it doesn't matter. If it's a cutback, it's a cutback. You're not thinking to square a
Odegaard
cutback. No
would
one
pass that.
thinks to square a cutback.
So, Odegaard would pass that. Got to scan your surroundings.
Odegaard maybe would pass that, but Odegaard is Odegaard and not Gallagher. There's a reason why he's Odegaard and why they're top of the league and why Gallagher is Gallagher and we're 11th. But yeah,
there's a lot of fairness in that statement. I'll give you that.
There you go. But go on, Pice.
1 for effort, but he's a headless chicken, and it's terrible, to be honest. Well, he was shocking. Worst player on the pitch.
I probably agree.
Short and sweet.
Actually, no, I think Sterling was worse, honestly. But Sterling had 2 good moments.
No, Gallagher hurt my eyes today. So Sterling hurt
my heart. So what's worse?
At least Sterling has the excuse that he may have not been fit. Gallagher was.
That's true. Okay, that's true. Yeah, I'll give you that. But Gallagher has the excuse of not being good at football.
You know what sucks? You know what the funny thing is? At least he's not a professional footballer, right?
Well, nah. That's a whole different conversation. Yeah. Let's do Sterling first. I was not happy with him, but Pice, you just made a good point. How fit was he? Again, 5th time we touched on this in this stream. He's been injured, came back for 1 game, came on in the 85th minute against Liverpool, plus injury time, barely even 10 minutes on the pitch. Why does he start? I don't know. Why was he taken off after Havertz? I don't know. I have no idea. Now, the others came on soon after, but then that's even the next question. Why did you make 2 subs in the space of 3 minutes? Just make them all at once. What is that? What is that idea? You just wasted a subbing opportunity. We only have 3. So, I mean, I guess if you've made 4.
To be fair, we should have had a sub at least at halftime, but we'll get to that later.
That's obviously a whole different discussion. We'll get to that when we get to Lampard later. But yeah, I'll give Sterling. I gave Connor a 3. I give Sterling a 2. But I know the whole not being fit is a valid point. So I'll give him a 2.5. 0.5 for not being fit. But it's just -3 for Lampard. So I'll say 2.5 there. There wasn't really much good. The worst moment from him that I remember today was when he received the ball and he was back to the defender. There was no one trying to steal the ball from him. He had 50 passing options backwards. Like, I'm not saying backwards on passing is great, but it's better than losing the ball. And he just stood there holding off the guy behind him until someone turned up in front of him and took the ball away. I'm like, what are you doing? What is this? He had one nice attempt of a dribble, but I still think he ruined our biggest chance to score by not simply crossing it to Joao Felix for a tap-in. Now, I know there was a defender in there, but it's Raheem Sterling, man. We're talking about a player that scored hundreds of goals for Man City, got dozens and dozens of assists for Man City, maybe hundreds as well, I don't know. Probably not, though. A player that's won multiple Premier League titles, every cup trophy in England, and for a while, he was one of City's biggest star men in terms of output. And now I supposedly can't expect him to beat one defender with a cross. Do you know what I mean? So, come on now. And that's not even anything to do with fitness. That's just he decided not to play the cross. Is it confidence? Maybe, but I don't know, man. Yeah, I was disappointed. I was pretty disappointed. Jay, what do you think?
Gone for a roller coaster of emotions there after the hearing, because I agree. I completely agree with the he was rubbish today, and just didn't really offer anything. But then he shouldn't have been on the pitch anyway. So you bring him up a little bit, but then I bring him back down once again, just purely for his attitude today. I think I understand if you're not fully fit that you might not want to be playing, but if you feel that you're not fully fit, you should probably flag that before. And his attitude today just really stank, man. It really, really annoys me when you see a player throw his arms around a little bit and just really not look up for it. And that will drag it down for me. And I think for me personally, I'd be similar with Gallagher and give him a 2.
You know what? Hey, if you give him a 2, I'm not going to be alone, so I agree. So 2 2s then. Clutch, what are you going to give Sterling? Another 0 or anything more?
I think you guys made a good point. I really don't want to blame. It's going to get into dodgy territory because I blame Gallagher. But again, Sterling probably shouldn't have been on the pitch because of all the things, because of his recently coming back from an injury. If I'm going to be fair, I got to give him a 1. Because if I gave Gallagher a 0, I got to at least be fair. The 1 is because he's injured. He was injured and just now coming back. Because if he wasn't injured and that was him normally, he definitely would have got a 0.
Fair. All right. Pice, what do you think about Sterling? You said Gallagher was the worst player. You gave him a 1. So what about Sterling then?
Maybe a 2 or 1.5. I don't know. I think I didn't settle on a Cucurella rating, but I still think Cucurella and Gallagher were the worst players in my opinion. So that makes it difficult for me. But Sterling was definitely. Actually, I'm completely wrong. Those 2 were not the worst players, but Sterling was.
I just remembered how.
I just remembered the.
You just looked at the rest of them.
just remembered, but Sterling. Yeah, he was dreadful. The thing that annoyed me most today was that, and he did this so many times. I can remember coming on so many player rant streams where it was just it wasn't even not taking your man on. It's like when you receive the ball back to goal and he almost freezes. And we know he's got that turn of direction and pace and that agility to turn and get past players. And he just doesn't do it. And he gets the ball, he receives the ball, and then he just freezes for 2 seconds and loses the ball because the defender is more sharper than him. That is what annoys me the most about him. And he did this for weeks. And then when he came back from injury, he was a completely different player. And he never lost the ball hardly any time. And I don't know how many times he lost the ball today, but it felt like it must have at least been 10 or intercepted off the ball. It was so annoying. So I give him a 2. I give him a 2. Yeah.
Fair. All right. I guess then overall we just leave that as a 2 with 3 2s. But fair enough. Let's go to the other side and Joao Felix. He's one where I don't even know really what I think, if I'm honest. Pass completion. He attempted 10 passes and had a pass completion of 52.6%. How can you have 52% off 10? How's that possible?
Sterling had 65% of 13.
No, he had 10 accurate passes. Sorry. He had 10 accurate passes, 19 attempted. That makes more sense. Because 10 passes would have been diabolical, that. But yeah, I did, to be fair, the stat says here, accurate passes. But yeah, he had 1 attempt, 2 crosses, 1 accurate, 2 long balls, 0 accurate. Ground duels, 5 out of 7 is good again. Possession lost 12 times, same as Sterling in that number. Committed a foul, got 3 fouls. I don't know, man. I give him like 3.5 or something, like a 4. I don't think he was like the problem today. I think today was more like we didn't really know what to do with him. The only thing I criticize him for is for not tracking back. I still think it's obviously Cucurella's fault, the goal that we conceded, but I'm still like, Cucurella was trying to close the man down, and then you saw in the replay, when that happened, Felix wasn't even in our half yet. In our half. Do you understand what tracking back is? Like, no wonder Simeone was fuming at him after time. Now, obviously, because of Atletico's style of play, makes sense that is more necessary, and then Felix might not want to do it that much. But come on, bro. No matter what team you play for, even Man City, everyone needs to fucking track back and do their job. And you were playing on the wing today, so fucking do your job. So that just reminded me that annoyance of how can you be in the opposition's half as we concede? How, as a winger? How? And it wasn't like they hit us with the fastest counter-attack in history and he just didn't have time to get back. No. He just couldn't be bothered. And that pissed me off. So I'm going to say 3.5, but I don't think he was the problem or the worst player today, but yeah. And he could have had a goal if Sterling only crossed him, but he didn't. So, yeah. There you go. Is what it is. I'm going to say 3.5. Jay, what do you think?
Yeah, Felix is a weird one, isn't he? Because he's so gifted at football. But even in the short time we've seen him here at Chelsea, like, there's still no output, though. Like, he can do all of the other stuff when it comes to the attacking play, but can't really seem to find the goal. Or to be fair, his assist rating hasn't been too good. Today, like you said it, like he wasn't the problem. But I feel like, because of the way he plays, he drifted inside a little bit. So didn't really have that attacking threat down the left that he was, although maybe that's not your position, that was supposed to be your job today. And he didn't do that. I feel like similar with Sterling, his attitude, like the not tracking back thing, that's an attitude thing, isn't it? Like not, getting a bit arsey and not doing, something that you're supposed to be doing. So yeah, I think I agree. Like he wasn't great, but wasn't the problem. So I think a 3.5 or a 4 is about fair. I think I'll give him a 3.5 because he didn't offer anything more than a few chances, but they were slim. So yeah, 3.5 is fair.
Fair dues. Pice, I'll take it to you. Joao Felix, we know you like him. We're probably all in agreement. And like Clutch said, please like the stream for vibes. If Frank didn't give us any, at least please you give us some. But I'm sure you're also in agreement that Felix wasn't great today. I'm sure you're also in agreement that he wasn't the problem, but it's difficult to then really rate that. It's a tough one.
Yeah, it is. I mean, you have to give him a low rating because I don't really think he impacted the game, but I think half of it, or actually more, probably like 80% of the reason was because, I mean, he is like the player. Like I said this for weeks, like even under Potter when we was, playing bad or whatever, but we got him on the ball so many times during those games. And he was the one who always started the attacks, even if it never finished with him. But today it was like we didn't have a plan to like get him on the ball or use him. Like it was just a complete mess. And I don't really understand why he played so wide. We tried him up front as well for like 5 or 10 minutes, and then Aubameyang came on. It was just like, well, it was just desperation almost. To be honest with you, it was desperation. Yeah, I think even when Pulisic came on, he was left and then he was right. It was like, what the fuck's going on here? Like, how are you supposed to get any sort of, like consistency if you play a player, like if you keep switching their positions before they've even had a chance to get on the ball? So, yeah, maybe like a 3.5, 3, something like that. I mean, it's low, but I do feel a little bit sorry for him because, he is our most gifted attacker and we need to get him on the ball and we just didn't. And I don't even think it was like a case of like him not offering for the ball. I thought the same with Mudryk as well when he came on. It's like the times he did get the ball, did all right, but how many times did he get the ball? It's I don't know, the cohesion. There was just no cohesion there. It was a complete mess, and it's worrying because if it's like this if it's the same for any more games, I mean, fucking hell, we're in huge trouble. We already are, but yeah.
I can't really add any more. Clutch, what about you? We have 3.5s now, so you're probably gonna be hard asked to change much. But what do you think anyway?
I got to be careful what I said last time I rated Felix. I got in a lot of trouble. Now, I guess I'll preface it with this. Felix is my second favorite player on the team. And I think the skills that Felix possesses are, like, if you look at the difference why Portugal can play him on the wing versus why we can't is because they have that creative midfielder named Bruno Fernandez who can find him and give him the balls that he would need on the wing. We don't have that. So playing him on the wing is not going to help him any. So you have to put him in the center where he can kind of find those pockets of space to pick up the ball and then kind of work on it. I do agree with everybody else. Like I would give him a 3 probably today. The problem is you need to give him the ball in space and let him work. I think he's a more creative player than he is a player who's going to get you the goals. I think he can get you goals, but I don't think it's his main thing. For me, I do feel bad for him because I don't think he was set up for success today. So I'd only give him a 3.
Fair enough. Leaves us at the 3.5 regardless. And Clutch, just before you need to head off, why don't you give us your rating and assessment of Kai Havertz as well?
Can I say LOL? Is that a thing I can do? I want to rate him LOL because it's I don't remember what he did. I really don't. I don't remember him doing anything for us. He won 5 headers. That's it. That's all I know.
Can we bring the shit emoji back and put it next to his name, please?
I think that's harsh,
Oh my god, bro! I literally
not because it was good, but because I think it's a bit ridiculous to say he was so much worse than Sterling and Gallagher.
He was so much worse than Sterling and Gallagher. He was
in what way though?
He didn't attack crosses. He's just what does he do? What does he do? I
agree, but what did Sterling do?
He did, but he's the main guy. He's the focal point of the team. He just does nothing. Even when he was dropping back to try and link the play.
So he's worse because he's the more.
Here's what I will say. I will say about Havertz. Felix not dropping back. The reason why Havertz is looking like a DM is because he is dropping back to come and help play defense. That is the one thing I will give Havertz today. Is he came back to play, at least do a little bit of defense, unlike some other people did.
I mean, this is fact. We're not making this up. Look at his average position. He must have come back, otherwise this wouldn't be his average position. But yeah, again, I'm going to give Havertz a 2. But I think to say he was worse than the others, that's a bit harsh.
Terrible 0 by far.
No, it's okay. But let Clash go. What would you give him? You say LOL, but if you have to give him a rating, what rating would you Would you go lower than you did for Sterling, for example, or for Gallagher?
What did I give Sterling, a 1?
Yes, and Gallagher you gave a 0, yeah.
I'm gonna go for a 1. I'll go for a 1. And the only reason he gets the 1 is because he actually tracked back to help for defense. That's it. Other than that, I can't tell you what he did. I really can't.
Maybe he gets a 1 for that. I agree. But he's still terrible at linking up.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't disagree. I mean, he had a higher pass completion than both Felix and Sterling, but not much better. He had 11 out of 16, and what did Felix have? 10 out of 19?
And here's the other question: did things really change when Aubameyang came on anyway? Not really. So it doesn't.
His attempt of a link-up play, that was hilarious. When he tried to play that through ball, he played 50 yards too far. That was quite entertaining. But I will let him off because he is rusty. So as much as me and Clutch agree that Aubameyang is not the solution, not sure if Jay agrees, but today to now mug him off or whatever is still harsh because the guy hasn't played in months. So how is he supposed to be any good? But yeah, no, fair enough. Clutch, I know you need to head off in a couple of minutes anyway, so rather than you sitting around as us three talk about Havertz more, thank you. Appreciate your time. Have a good rest of your weekend and, vibes.
Yeah, I'm going to go find some vibes. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go drink
do
my vibes away.
If you find it, please.
I will. Okay. Have a good one, boys.
Later. Yeah, Clutch. But yeah, Jay, 2-1s then, as me and Clutch forced Pies into giving it a little higher. What would you give Kai Havertz, and what was your assessment? I think you're muted. So
I'm muted. I was talking but muted. That's classic. I'm gonna give him a 1 as well, because I just think he was so absent. I think you give a Sterling and a low rating and a Gallagher low rating because he was on the ball and doing rubbish, and then I don't remember Havertz having that many touches. He did how many was it? 30 in the end.
Yeah, 30, yeah. To be fair, it's more than Sterling. Sterling had 28. Somehow.
That's crazy because I just don't remember. That's how nothingness
Felix
they were.
had 33, so just more.
Just a little. That's crazy.
Yeah,
I just think he offered nothing today. Maybe 1's harsh because I think I gave Kukurea higher, and I hated Kukurea more today. So maybe a 2. But like he just wasn't offering us anything. I think none of the 3 attackers were giving us anything to hold on to or any bit of hope. And unfortunately, most of the subs didn't give us anything as well. But yeah, I'll give him 1.5. There you go. I'll give him 1.5 because he tracked back a little bit and touched the ball a few times. Bless him.
Bless him. Yeah, no, he did. Like I say, I was probably going to give him the same 2 I gave Sterling. I mean, 5 out of 5 aerial duels is pretty good. This is why he has the highest aerial success rate of any Premier League.
Weren't they all from corners though? Defensive corners?
I don't know. I honestly don't know.
I'm sure they were. I saw him at least
ones in there.
It's probably the best thing he's good at, being a defender.
Yeah, probably. Maybe we should play him centre back.
Problem solved, lads. Problem solved.
Maybe we should play him left back. Instead of Cucurella. Can't be any worse, can it?
I tell you what, I'm up for the attack and 8 thing instead of Gallagher again. Fucking hell, I'll do that.
That's what I'm saying. But what I will agree today, though, that Havertz to me looked unbothered, or looked not really trying. Like I know that he seems like that a lot, just because that's kind of the vibe he gives off. But I think today was to an even stronger extent, as usual. But yeah, I mean, like I say, like people say he was so much worse than Raheem Sterling and Felix and Gallagher, but no one's actually been able to give an actual reason for why that is the case. He had a higher pass completion than them. Well, I'm not sure about Gallagher, but certainly than Felix and Sterling. He had the same amount of touches. He did better in duels than them. He lost the ball less than both of them because he lost it 9 times. Both of the other 2 lost it 12 times. So, like, again, I am fully in agreement that Havertz was poor today, but that he was so much worse than the other 2, that's just agenda, nothing else. But yeah, so I'm going to give him the same 2. Did I give Gallagher 2 as well? I think so. But yeah, so for me, they were all just equally dreadful, if I'm being perfectly honest. But that means we have 2 1s, 1 1.5, and 1 2. So I guess that just about gives it 1.5. But it's
ask the chat to comment what they think Havertz's rating was. I'm really intrigued.
Well, they will all say 0 because it's the chat. But they also, 85% of them said yesterday Kante will start, and now he wasn't even on the bench. So what do they know? Do you know what I mean? Literally 85% of you here, well, might not be the same people, but 85% of people in the chat said Kante would start today. Well, so close, people. But yeah, I know they will give him a 0, so I don't even need to do a poll on that. Let me get these subs up because we made 5 of them in the end. I forgot about Chalobah initially. But yeah, I mean, initially it was Koulibaly. Pulisic coming on for cannot talk anymore. Flip's sake. Kai Havertz, then Mudryk came on for Felix. Sterling came off for, well, I guess Aubameyang. Oh, no, that's wrong. Doesn't really matter if it's Felix or Mudryk that. Felix or Sterling that Mudryk came on for. Chile came on for Cucurella, obviously. And then at the end, Chalobah came on for Fofana. I think that one we can very quickly stamp out as an NA. Probably we should do for all of them. But boys, thoughts, Jay, on any of these subs? Would you give any of them a rating?
Oh, mate, it's difficult. Jack getting behind it. Love it. It's difficult, it's really difficult. I think you'd give Chile a decentish rating just because he was a little bit better than Kukurea, but I don't know if he had enough time to do what he needed to do. I think most of the attacking players came on and showed the same amount of nothingness, so I would give them a low rating as well because, and like you say, Aubameyang hasn't had the fitness. It isn't match fit, so you can't really blame him, and maybe the same with Mudryk, but yeah, I guess you say the same about all of them, but yeah, I don't know. It's difficult with his subs because I feel like none of them really impacted the game they could have. Like they had enough time. I think they all had about 20 minutes, 25 minutes. I think roughly around that. So it's enough time to do something. Even a shot on target would have been kind of nice. I don't know if any of them was able to do that. I can't remember.
We had one shot on target, and that was Felix. So no, they didn't.
So there you go. Not one of them was able to impact the game in the slightest. So it is difficult to rate any of them, I guess.
Yeah, because that's what I think as well. Like I think Mudryk and Pulisic both had one positive moment. Otherwise, I was like, what are you really doing? I mean, there was maybe a very slight penalty shout with Pulisic as Dawson pushed him over. That's clearly not enough, is it? Aubameyang had the one chance. Chile had the one chance where he just blasted it into no man's land. Let's just give them all an NA rather than sitting here blaming subs. Yeah, this doesn't really get us anywhere, does it? Just give them all an NA. None of them were really good. Pies, are you in agreement with this, or is there anyone that you really want to say something about or rate?
Pulisic is getting a 5 for me. I thought he lost his. I said in the chat he lost his special powers. He didn't bring his special powers. I didn't think he was very good off the bench.
But is 5 to you now worse than an A or better than an A?
Well, a 6 is average. I thought he was below average. I didn't think he was very good, so he gets a 5.
Yeah. No, obviously, if we do want to go into depth on it, and you know what, Pies started, it might as well. I probably agree with it on Pulisic. I would probably give Mudryk a 5.5.
Have you got Laurenz? Have you got the stats up?
I can.
Because I'm sure Pulisic lost the ball at least 4 times. I'd be shocked if he didn't.
He played like exactly like Sterling did, I thought.
Bro, like I just didn't understand. Like I swear he lost the ball so many times. Like at least 2 I can count on the right wing where he was trying to dribble and he just fell over. I was like, fucking hell, man. Like,
yeah, he runs into a bunch of players and then gets
possession
scared.
Lost,
Yeah.
You will be shocked now. Oh my god. Okay, 5 is way too high. He lost possession 9 times.
I knew it. I knew he lost
9
times.
In the space of what? Half an hour?
Bro, I knew I wasn't capping.
He lost the ball the same amount of time as Kai Havertz, by the way.
Oh
Just
my
saying.
god.
Give him a 2, man.
I'm about to find it 2 a bit harsh, but you want to say 2 Pies, but do you want to change your 5?
I'll give him a 4. 4 for that. Maybe even a 3. Yeah, 4. Like,
I mean, I was going to say 3 now on the basis of, you know what, I'm going to say 3 just because you're all hating on Havertz for losing the ball. Where's the Americans in the chat, by the way? They're all slating Havertz. Again, Havertz took 60 minutes to lose the ball 9 times. Pulisic took 30. So
yeah, that's crazy.
I was like, I had a feeling like when I was watching it, it was more when he moved out to the right, like he kept running into a bunch of players, and I was just like, what the fuck? Like, what are you doing, man?
Clutch ran away just in time. All right, it's going to be like, if I say 3, 2, and 4.
Fake stats now.
Let me check Mudryk. How often did he lose the ball? Twice.
He probably did the best bit of skill of the whole game as well on the left-hand side.
Yeah.
I think that's the one
fair, what I need to give him. So Pulisic had 22 touches and Mudryk had... Where is it? Where's the touches? 9. So, you know,
there you go.
That's what I mean. Like, that left side today, Felix, Mudryk, like...
Yeah.
I think that's why Cucurella was so annoying, because he was the one. He was like, every time it went out to the left, he was like the only one who got on the ball. That's why we were noticing him so much. But it's just again, like what is our plan for these players? I don't know. They've been
to be fair to Pulisic, as much as we slate him for losing the ball, he did have 100% pass accuracy. He did. Okay, you know what? I'll bring it back up for Pulisic, because in 30 minutes he had the same amount of completed passes as Joao Felix did in 60. 67, sorry. So, you know, that's good again. So I'll give him a 4. But yeah, Mudryk. What do I say about him? He had 2 passes, completed both. Great. Had 9 touches. All right. Lost the ball twice. Not too bad. Had this nice little run move where the guy clearly should have got booked, but didn't for some baffling reason. But I don't know. I really want to give him an A. The guy had 9 touches, so I kind of want to give him an A. But I feel like if we give Pulisic a rating, we need to give Mudryk a rating. So, Jay, what would you give Mudryk?
The amount of touches he didn't have enough to really do anything. He had enough time to maybe get a bit more. So it's hard. It is really hard. I'd probably give him a 4 as well, because Pulisic was annoying, but Mudryk didn't do anything. So is that more annoying? Do you know what I mean?
I don't. I see what you're saying. Paistel, Mudryk, what would you give him then?
I actually wanted to give like an A for I think most of these guys apart from Pulisic, because I don't think Mudryk got on the ball enough to me to give him a rating. Like there was
factually, you're not wrong considering he had 9 touches and Pulisic.
Yeah, like this is that one instance where like he did that nice bit of skill on the left-hand side, but I can't really give him a rating for that in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean Chile had more touches than Pulisic by 1.
Same with Chilwell, to be honest. Like that shot was just like, what the fuck? But other than that, it was like, oh yeah, and the
What?
one where
Go
he
on.
was down on the side where I don't know whether it was a foul, but I think he ended up getting booked for handball or something. You remember right at the end of the game?
Mudryk.
No, Chilwell I was talking about.
Yeah. No, he did get booked. Yeah. I don't know. Just give him an A. One thing I will say, Pulisic and Mudryk at least had 100% pass completion. Does anyone want to guess Aubameyang's pass completion?
Probably like 40 because he was spamming balls. But
Exactly, 43%. 3 out of 7.
I'd still play him over the donkey, but we'll see.
The donkey at least has 69% pass accuracy. Do you know what I mean? But he loves being a donkey, doesn't he? So to him, that's not even an insult, which is a funny thing. But yeah, okay, let's leave it at that. I do feel a bit harsh on Pulisic now that we've wrestled him into a rating, but hey, Americans, don't be too angry. Adash with the super chat, appreciate it very much. It says, forget straight out of Cobham, Joao Felix and Kovacic making this team straight off target. And as an American, Pulisic and Havertz are horrid. Well, it's true. All of what you said is true. But Felix had the only shot on target, so. What does that say about all the other players? I don't flipping know. Oh yeah, Adash, but I appreciate the super chat very, very much. Haaland just scored a beauty. Brilliant. Don't love to hear that.
A bicycle kick as well, by the way.
Depression. Because of how the decision of playing Gallagher was before and went in the end, I'm going to put Lampard there. You know how I said, like, Gallagher had like 1 or 2 moments where I'm like, okay, you did that you did okay. The same goes for Havertz. The same goes for Sterling. Felix, a few more. Pulisic, Mudryk, the same. Lampard, I genuinely don't know if he did a single thing right. I think the formation was wrong. I think leaving James on the pitch for 90 minutes is wrong. I think if you're going to play a random system that you're not going to play on Wednesday anyway, not playing Badiashile is wrong. I think forcing Cucurella at left back, I guess Lampard wasn't here and he didn't watch every game of her, so maybe Lampard wasn't as aware how poor Cucurella is at left back. Fair enough. Kovacic as Enzo as the single 6, that's wrong. Felix on the wing, that's wrong. Havertz as a lone striker in a 4-3-3 is wrong because then he has no one anywhere near close enough to him to do anything useful. That's wrong. Starting Sterling after playing 5 minutes after injury, that's wrong. The subs. I mean, you brought Pulisic on for Havertz first, and then 5 minutes later, you brought on a new striker anyway. So why not just bring Aubameyang on for Havertz in the first place? Why did we have to have 5 minutes of no striker? I mean, I guess Havertz isn't a striker either, but it's still closer to it. Why? Why did we have to change formation twice in 5 minutes? Because you made weird subs. Honestly, people might think this is harsh now, considering how much I've defended a lot of the players, but I generally don't think Frank did a single thing right. I also didn't like a lot of the comments after. Maybe in hindsight, we'll learn that was good because someone needs to get into these players. But I don't think as the manager, you're in a position to slag players off. He didn't do that. He criticized some players. I don't think you're in a position to criticize players when you get picked the wrong formation, 90% of the wrong lineup, make the wrong subs, and leave a most important player who's very injury prone on the pitch for 90 minutes. I don't think you're in a position to criticize anybody, if I'm being honest, mate. The only person you can maybe criticize is Todd Bowley and Benedict Barley for hiring Potter, hiring you, not hiring Nagelsmann, all of those things. Signing Sterling, signing Aubameyang. Nah, Sterling is harsh, but signing Aubameyang can criticize all of those things. But yeah, I'm going to give Lampard a 0. Pice, are you in agreement on that? Do you think it's harsh considering how I've defended a lot of the other guys, or do I still need to do it?
I mean, no, I can't really disagree with anything you said. The one thing I would say is, like, I know they didn't work out, but I did like the intent of the subs in terms of bringing
the triple sub. I like the intent of that too.
Like, I still
have the question: why did Pulisic just come on for Havertz only for you to bring Aubameyang on?
The timing of the subs was wrong, but bringing on Aubameyang, Mudryk, Pulisic, like, at least he tried. But again, it's not like maybe a 0.5. Maybe he gets a 0.5 for that. Like, I just. Again, though, even with that, the timing was wrong. I was expecting to see a change at half time, maybe a change of system. I don't know, but
Honestly, I thought you would change to a back three at half time.
Yeah, I thought it would as well. Didn't we go for a back three like the last 5 minutes? I swear the commentator said I didn't really notice it, but apparently
My commentator didn't say that, but
yeah, he was like, "Oh, Chelsea are now in a back three," and I was like, "Oh, we?" Because I couldn't fucking.
But who was playing centre back then? Because Chalobah came on for Fofana, so and Cucurella wasn't on the pitch anymore. So who was the third centre?
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, I was confused, but.
Really?
And with Mudryk as a wing back, I think that's what they interpreted it as. I don't think it was that.
Yeah, I'm not sure it was, but
then they just didn't understand what a winger actually staying out wide looks like, and thought what Felix did before was normal. Like, no, that's what was supposed to happen. I also like another thing. I'm not sure if I mentioned this earlier. The whole problem of Cucurella doesn't push up, Felix comes inside. All he had to do was this. Because Sterling is a natural left winger, so he will be okay to stay out wide a little bit and then cut inside when he has the ball. And Felix would have been okay to drop inside where he wants to be, because James did the overlapping.
Can I say something really quickly as well about Felix on that side?
Yeah.
Remember the Fulham game where he went down the right hand side and created that chance?
Exactly.
Did he do anything like that today? No. Like, is that like it's? Oh, I don't know.
I agree completely with what you said. I agree completely. Yeah.
Like, it's not to say he would have been any good at right wing, but at least we've seen him do something there before, down that side. Like, it's just, I don't know. But yeah, that came up to my head quickly, that chance we had.
There you go. See, it's not Lampard's fault anymore, then it's Potter's. Do you want me to do something? I'll show you some stats from this game. Expected goals, 1.05. Shots, 13. 1 on target. Big chances, 0. Okay, passes all right. Fouls committed 10. Offsides 1, that's good. We were only offside ones. That's because no one ran in behind. And now let me bring up the stats from the Villa game. Last game that Graham Potter was in charge for. Expected goals, 2.16. Total shots, 27. Shots on target, 8. Big chances, 3. I'm just saying. This was one of the top 3 worst performances of the season. And maybe I'm being nice because it might be the worst one. Because all the other bad ones was like usually one really bad half and then too late to fix it in the second half. But and maybe I'm misremembering something. So if anyone has a game in mind where they're like, that was even worse than a Potter, I'm happy to listen. But I can't think of one. Because the worst ones in my mind are Southampton and Brighton. Spurs, and both of which were mainly first half issues than whole game issues.
I still think Spurs and Southampton were worse, but
the second half against Southampton, man, we had 3 times the chances we did today.
Yeah,
we just didn't score.
You're right.
But Spurs, maybe Spurs, but yeah. But Spurs is at least a bit of a better opponent, and we played probably equally as badly, right? So maybe that's part of it. But okay, that's why I didn't go with necessarily worst, but certainly top 3. I think we can probably all agree on that one. But yeah, there you go, Jay. Finish it off for us. Lampard 2.5s. I was convinced by Pius. Give him a 0.5. Do you think we're being harsh? Do you agree? As much as we all love, like, this has nothing to do with us not liking Frank, not loving Frank. We do, but this is arguably why I'm even more upset. I'm like, we brought him in because we love him, and now it went even worse than it would before, man.
Yeah, it's difficult, isn't it? I don't think he's being too harsh. I think everything you said completely holds up. He got a lot wrong. I think that the lineup was probably wrong. Playing certain players was probably wrong. I did like the substitutes, as you mentioned. I liked that he brought them on as well. Like, it should have made some at halftime realistically, but the fact that he didn't wait until the 80th minute to make a triple sub, like, he gave some of these players time. I think the
thriving though.
Yeah, the most worrying thing is Lampard weren't brought in to bring tactics. Lampard weren't brought in to revolutionise the squad and bring some madness. He was brought in to bring a bit of mentality and to try and uplift the squad. And this game looks like it went the opposite. It went the opposite. That's the worrying thing.
And the fans, bro, like. I mean, I'm not there, but on my stream was pretty, had pretty good commentary. The audio was good. I didn't hear the fans sing for like 70, 80 minutes. Like, it's weird, man. Like, if you can't even get the fans on board, like, during Lampard's first spell, there was plenty of games where we were losing the fans.
Unless could it be that they turned the whole fan sound down because of some rent boy chants from Wolves, and maybe they then turned all of the fans down? Could that theoretically be the case?
I know a lot of people today were very excited just to sing Lampard's name.
I mean,
So they were definitely going to be a vibe there for sure.
I mean, Zach Fortag, I think his name is, who he was at the game. To speak to him a little bit on Twitter, he was part of the fan forum board. And he said to me, he was like, "Bro, a lot of fans were leaving at like 75, 80 minutes." I was like, "Really?" He was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Wow!" Like that surprised me. Like,
doesn't surprise me. Look at the game, man.
Yeah, the game was
no, I know, but like it's Lampard. You might want to even they might want to stay just to clap him and have that moment, even if we lose. Like, there was plenty of moments during his first spell where he was losing. They were just singing his name because it's Lampard. Like, it just, mate.
But then we won 11th.
Yeah,
we were only 9th.
Yes. God, imagine that being 9th. That'd be nice.
Yeah, that would be nice. Top of the table, that.
Yeah,
Jay, just to finish it off, what rating?
So I think as well, like it is just he's had like 2 days, and he doesn't know a lot of these players. He doesn't know Cucurella, he doesn't know Felix. You know what I mean? Like, he never got to manage Sterling. Like, maybe there is that, and I'm probably being very nice here.
But saying that though, and I totally agree actually with what you're saying, but because of that, changing the shape is so ridiculous to me.
Yeah, that was bold. That was very, very bold. For me, I was just going to give him a 1 because he got a lot wrong today, I think. But everything you said holds
the same thing, really, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Everything you said holds up. But like I said at the start of the stream, if against Real Madrid, players like Chilwell who are rested or Kante comes on and the game is completely different, maybe this was something that we had to take a hit on.
I mean, yeah, hopefully it works out. Hopefully Reece James and Fofana aren't injured, though, because otherwise...
No, that would be rough.
Ridiculous to go to a 4. A 4 for who? But anyway, by the way, the poll in the chat for cover did quite clearly end on a 5 with 84% picking that. So unfortunate. And that's even though Clutch gave him a 6, my days. And yes, of course, Royston, I'm absolutely terrified that the Americans will turn up in front of my window tomorrow with a helicopter and shoot me. Yes, I am terrified to talk about the owners, of course, because we haven't spent all fucking season complaining about them. My God. We will do that at the end of the season, but just super quickly. And I'll ask both of you, and I'll start with you, Jay. If you had to rate this first season of the owners out of 10, how would you rate that?
A 1. A 1. I think they've got almost everything wrong in their timing. I think, they sacked Tuchel. That's the first thing. Even if there was problems with him and you and the players, sacking him so quickly and so
could have at least held on to the World Cup still.
Without the plan in place. And then they got Potter in before they got a director of sport in. And then they backed Potter to the hills. They got loads of players in. And then they were like, no, Potter's lost too many games and he's gone. They've got literally everything wrong. So, yeah, I would give them a 1. But this is the problem is that they've not done this in football before. They've not done it in European sport before. So, like, of course they're going to get things wrong. But the annoying thing is that they should have done the director of football. They should have got the right people above first, right? But they just went straight into it head first. And that's why we're in this mess. We can, we blame the players, we'll blame the managers, but why we're in this mess is because of them for sure.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree. I'd probably, just because I like quite a few of the players that they've signed, I might push it to a 2 or a 3. But in a general consensus, I'm in complete agreement. Really, like the timing of Tuchel sacking was bad. Giving Tuchel signings in the summer just before sacking him is just some of the no matter what you're talking about, football, private life, no matter what you want to talk about, there is very few things more stupid than that. Quite frankly, it is out of this world stupid. I say, some of the January signings were good, but then I'm also like, okay, Mudryk might have gone elsewhere if we didn't strike now, but why? Why? It's just there's so many things that I just don't understand. And I understand initially they signed Mudryk and Mudryk because we were lacking wingers, but they only signed both of them at the end of the window anyway. And Sterling and Pulisic got injured on January 2nd. So it's not even like they brought them in to help.
Yeah, and they should have got rid of the likes of Ziyech and Pulisic if they thought that was the case, but they didn't do that.
and they couldn't even get the fucking documents transferred
Yeah.
to PSG on time. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
It wasn't
and why did that happen? Because you took too long, because you had to piss them off on the first few days of January about Enzo.
Yeah.
There's a lot of questions that I have, but I still have hope that, because everything started being wrong, and it was all kind of a follow-up effect from making decisions before we had the correct people hired. And the January window itself, as much as maybe timing of some of the signings was a bit unnecessary, there's still most of them, maybe all of them, are good signings still. And yeah, I will at least say that. But Jay gave it a 1. I gave it like a 2 or 3. I'm not really sure, something like that. What would you give the owners for the first year? Or not quite done yet, but we might win the Champions League and say we're amazing, but we're not, are we?
It's so difficult, isn't it? Because I think you've got two sides of the coin. Like, one side is I really like what they're doing in terms of investing in the young players, in terms of their plans for the multi-club model. I'm excited to see what's happening with the stadium.
The problem is that neither of the managers they've hired have used the young players. So they're signing all the young players, but the managers don't use them.
Well, this is why this next appointment is so vital. But I could literally talk all day. I could go, okay, I like this, I hate this, like this. There's no I don't like them or I do like them. I'm just sort of in the middle. I mean, I'll be forever grateful that they signed Enzo Fernandez, because I think if he went to Man City or Real Madrid, I mean, fuck me, we would have been imagine we missed out on him and we saw him go there. We would have been absolutely gutted. Their intent in the market has been unbelievable. But like you said, some of the stuff, the timings of the sacking, I was reading The Athletic, they had decided, most of them, that Spurs, or maybe even before that, was okay, it's not working now. Yet they still give him a few more games because they were.
And then don't replace him with a manager anyway. If at least, you do that, already sort out who you want to replace him.
Yeah,
and then have a replacement ready, fair. But then we could turn up with Lampard.
Bro, exactly. They're doing this interview process now. The whole reason why we've got Lampard now is because they hadn't pre-planned. They were oh no, it's okay. They naively thought it would just turn around because they thought he was the guy. I did a tweet earlier. Someone was people really turned on Bowley, and I was I just laid out some of the points. I was okay, you sacked Tuchel, whatever, okay, but the timing of that was just fucking horrendous. We've said that. Whatever happened, we don't really know what happened, but you sacked
regardless of it, unless he insulted your mother, there was no reason to sack him in September. Literally.
I just it just at the time it just baffled me at the timing. But you hire Potter, and then I always say this: I don't care how much money you've got, you do not quadruple his fucking wages. He was on 12 million a year, 5-year contract. What's that all about? Are you trying to flex on Are you trying to flex to the public or something when it gets to be known information?
Are we even sure this is true? Because otherwise, how are we only paying him 30 million in compensation?
I think there was some sort of clause or something, wasn't it, added in?
Apparently,
but it was true.
If he makes 12 a year, well, how did we end up at 13 million?
I don't know, but it was widely reported that he was on 12 million a year over the course of 5 years. And then, this Lampard appointment, let's not kid ourselves. This is just PR to try and get the fans back on side. They're scared, they're worried.
And that's already done now. After that performance today, that PR stunt has already not worked. Unless we do something against Madrid, the PR stunt works for 2 days.
Exactly. And that's why I'm so worried when I see the fans today leaving at 80 minutes and not, getting up for it. That's what I worry about. It's even that isn't working. So... And then I'm hearing, things David Ornstein saying, oh, ultimately the owners will decide who the next manager is. Fuck off. Why have you employed these people? Why have you employed these people if you're not going to, let them make the decisions? Bowley said...
Elon Musk doesn't build cars himself, but he will still take the decisions at Tesla, right? He's the CEO, so obviously he will. As long as they listen to what they're told, they still have...
Do you trust them to do that, though? Honestly,
no.
I see a situation, right, where Winstanley and what's his name, Stewart, they get because they're supposed to be getting a shortlist, right, and then they're going to be.
And Devel has not even got anything to do with it.
So I mean, what's the point? So anyway, I see a situation where they'll get down to, let's say, Nagelsmann or Enrique, and maybe Poch as well, right, or someone else, and Bowley and Igbali will interview them. They'll have this information from Stuart and Winstanley, and they'll like go off that to a sense. But once they meet a particular person in person, and we've got to actually hope it's, we don't even know if Enrique and Nagelsmann are going to succeed, but I'm just worried they're just going to be like go against like what we think is like what's going to happen. That's what I'm worried about. I'm just like, oh my God, man, I'm just so worried that Enrique or Nagelsmann might not buy fully into this whole like collaborative approach, and we'll just end up with someone who maybe is like a slight upgrade on Potter, but is not like where we want to be. And I think this next appointment is just, I'm not saying it's make or break because they're here for 10 years, but like, fuck me, they've already pissed off a lot of the fans. So like, imagine if the next appointment is bad.
Yeah,
exactly. Imagine if they sack him in a year. Like, what? This is genuinely like, oh my God, bro. It's worrying. It's worrying.
My worry for this, the waiting thing, if we don't still in April get a pre-agreement thing, I have hope it's either still Nagelsmann, but I think if it's not Nagelsmann, I don't think it's going to be Poch. I don't think it's going to be Enrique, because I think if they wanted Enrique, they would have just got him now. I think it's going to be Amorim then, just because he is most similar to the idea of Potter. And I mean,
I'll back it, but like, it's a huge risk. It's another huge risk, and it's like, he's very, very young.
It's like if you're going to get Amorim, you might as well have just stuck with Potter.
Yeah,
I mean, he's a bit more emotional, like from the more southern regions of Europe, where they're a bit more, just emotional as they tend to be. My quarter Italian in me. But is he better than anything else? I mean, different league, but he still experienced the big club thing at least, because yes, to us we don't consider Sporting a big club, but in Portugal, Sporting are a huge club. So the pressure from being big club, he will be more used to that than Potter is, but still, I'm still crossing my fingers it's going to be Nagelsmann. And if it's not, then I just have to wait and see how it goes, I guess. But yeah, I think we've gone for more than long enough. But yeah, unfortunately, someone's saying I'm scared of the owners, apparently.
Take that, Bowley.
Exactly. And apparently this gets you sacked, so only you fatty.
I saw that.
I mean, he may have called him a fucking idiot when he said 4-4-3, but I don't know about
that. I still think Bowley is just ahead of the curve, and he's just like thinking, how much do I have to pay the refs to get an extra man on the pitch? Do you know what I mean? Man United paid for decades to get correct decisions by the ref, so maybe you also pay a certain amount to get an extra man. You never know. It may be possible, but yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're still here, I appreciate you all. Subscribe if you haven't already. That'd be massively appreciated. Please do check out Jay's channel. Link is down in the description. Both the retro football kit. Sorry, I forgot the exact name of it. You can.
You smashed it, mate.
There you go. And of course, check out his Twitter as well. Check out Pice's website, London's First, and his Twitter as well. Links are down in the description, like I say. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Up to Chelsea, upwards and onwards, and we'll see you.